All right, good morning. We are live. Today is January the 22nd. The year is 2023. Welcome to Make It Make Sense. And so we're in here today. We're gonna talk about Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman. We're also gonna talk about Damar Hamlin and the situation there with the Buffalo Bills and NFL. Give you our thoughts on that. And we're gonna talk a little Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp is in the news. He's out there showing out at NBA games. So we'll touch on those things today. Welcome to the show. As you can see, Coy is in the building, and we have Hot Tub Tony in the building. So you don't want to miss what Hot Tub has to say today. He reached out. He reached out to the network weeks ago, and he was just like, "Man, I got to get on here." And the man has a schedule, man. So we had to really try to work to get it together. But he's here, and it's going to be on today. So get ready for an excellent show. And you never know, we might even bring you on if you got the gut to be on there with us. So yeah. All right.
One question. Mr. Tony, I do have a question for you. I'm
Yes,
sure
sir.
everybody want to know. Why do they call you Hot Tub Tony?
Because my name Tony and I got a hot tub.
Enough said. All right, let's go.
There it is. All right. Here we go. Make it make sense.
We passed through here with that great Carter's Park logo.
All right. We welcome. Please hit that notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. And do all those things for us. It helps us out a lot. All right, gentlemen. We might as well get into it. Let's start off with the what's happened. Actually happened at a Laker game the other day, and that is Shannon Sharp getting into it with the Memphis Grizzlies. A couple of players, and also one of the players' parents, John Morant's dad. So Shannon is he's been on one lately. So what are your thoughts on that? And by the way, before you do that, let's go ahead and show everyone a clip of it. So hang tight 1 second, then we'll get to comments. Because I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
High level at 45 when you had to stop at 13.5. That's what you.
Putting the brakes on that. Hold on. Hold tight 1 second. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play the clip, and then we'll get everybody's thoughts. So hold tight here. Clip should last about a minute. All right, gentlemen, fire away.
For me, on my
Okay.
go ahead, Coy.
First
Of course. Corey.
that you're in. Y'all go ahead.
Coy.
I'm breaking up. Go ahead.
Okay. Tub first, then Coy.
I look at it from one perspective. Shannon Sharp's reaction is indicative of what Shannon Sharp's been going through this past 2 months or so, with him getting into it with Skip twice, A lot of criticism that he took from his stance on the Kyrie Irving situation. And now there's a perspective out there of Shannon Sharp amongst Black society that you're cooning for a check. And he hears that. He hears that a lot. But he can't go at the Skip Bayless. That's going to cost him his job. So what does he do? He lashes out at people that look like him to kind of boost his manhood up, because he's basically buck broken. When you go on there and you took a stance against what Skip Bayless said, and Skip can basically chump you off and say, you put your glasses back on, and you put them back on. That eats away at your manhood slowly but surely. This has less to do with sports and commentaries that he's made, and more so to do with how he's feeling internally about the situation. That's just my perspective on that.
And I'll tell you what, first, Beulah Dukes, she says, happy blessed Sunday to 401 and Company. Good morning and happy Sunday.
Good morning.
All right.
Good morning.
All right. Hey, Tub, you made some interesting comments there. Corey, we're going to let you throw your comments in there. But before you do that, Corey, Hot Tub did mention something about Skip. So we might as well get that out here, too, about Skip and Shannon. So we'll play that clip right quick as well.
High level at 45 when you had to stop at 13.5.
That's what you
That's
do.
the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something in question, I'm jealous.
No,
I did what
I
I
never
did.
said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I got
so
3
what?
Super Bowls.
So what?
So what?
He's way better than you were.
I'm better
Way
than you. See what you do? You take personal shots.
No, I don't take personal shots. You started it.
Time out. You would take a personal shot at me.
I didn't take you.
Wait a
What are
minute.
you talking about?
You would take a personal
Put your glasses back on.
Can I finish? You're willing to take a personal shot at me to say this man is better than me because I say he's playing bad this year?
Well, because you just
Go ahead.
you disrespect him. It's just so. You know what? It's beneath your
You would
dignity.
disrespect me to support him.
No, well, I'll support him over anybody because he's the greatest player who ever played your game, and it's by
Have at
far.
it. Have at it.
Okay,
Take off,
I'm
bro.
going to have at it because I'm going to have at you.
Wow.
See
All
what
right,
I
cool.
mean?
Yeah. Man, Skip, he pulled Shannon out. My
Yes, he
goodness.
did. And this is not the first time. He did it with again with the Hamlin situation. He chopped him out. So it's a continual disrespect by Skip Bayless to Shannon Sharp. When Shannon Sharp knows if it was a physical confrontation, oh yeah, he could crush Skip Bayless, but you can't put your hands on him. But what you can do is go to a basketball game and get into it with John Morant and his dad and the whole public spec, because that's still safe for you. There's going to be no repercussions job-wise to Shannon Sharp for doing that. So it was he picked the safe route to express his anger. I personally can't respect that.
Are you there, Corey?
I'm here. I'm letting Tony get it off.
Go ahead. I got it. I said my piece on it.
Okay. As far as Shannon Sharp, he's a troll. That's what he does. Even on the show, I don't really get into what he allows Skip to do or not do. It is what it is. I'm gonna go with this. Shannon being a former pro athlete, I don't care how big of a fan you are. You keep your behind in the stands and don't go to the you're not on the court because you're not. My issue.
Corey.
Nobody's ever even mentioned that part of the issue.
Corey, we missed that part where you said my issue.
My issue is why his behind didn't get tossed about that stadium like anybody else would have.
Exactly. Because he should have been ejected. You're a disruptive fan. No matter what your celebrity status is, you shouldn't have been allowed to stay there. You shouldn't have been allowed to escalate to that point.
Yeah, totally agree with that, guys. A couple of things in there too. If you look at that clip, Steven Adams, right? He came to the to protect his teammates. He was stepping to Shannon, and if you notice, Shannon, he saw that coming. He saw Steven Adams coming, and then he conveniently turned his attention to Ja Morant's dad.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well, I
know,
mean, beyond. Well, he had y'all. Well, let's be honest now. He did call that man over there. I'm gonna
he
tell
was
you
talking,
why.
but he was talking to the other player at first. He was talking
No,
to
he
Dylan
called.
Brooks.
Yeah,
He
because all
called.
four
He
of them was
called shot.
involved in there. He had
Let me
no
tell you.
smoke for Stephen Adams.
Well, I don't believe that, but I believe this. It's easy to talk tough when you know somebody's gonna grab you. I mean, let's be honest. It's easy to do the tough talk when you're in a safe space. Worst case scenario is you push, you shove, and security's gonna grab you. So
Mhm.
I get, I, I take that with a grain of salt. Whether it's professional athletes, whether it's people in a room with the police standing next there, or whatever. Um, no, that I claim to be some super thug? Not at all. But when you see people do tough talk for the media, that's all
Mhm.
it is. It's just for show. Because
Mhm.
if it was really all about everything else, the outcome would have happened like good old Rick Mahorn days. I'll see you outside the stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't hear all that. So yeah, that's just all that type of stuff is just show, and it gives us something to talk about. But 99% of all people out here are just fake tough guys.
Yeah. Good point. Um, and also, speaking of fake, that's showing his fake love for LeBron too, because I don't believe he's all into LeBron like that, and he ain't have to come to LeBron's rescue out there on the court and stuff and doing all that kind of stuff. And great point as well too, gentlemen, about being a disruptor at the game. Uh, that's just out of hand and out of pocket, and you shouldn't act that way no matter who you are. And we'll see what the ultimate repercussions will be from that. But yeah, it's some pent up things going on with Shannon, and as you stated, Hot Tub, he can't do that to Skip. Pretty much Skip owns him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's Skip's show, and it goes to that, and he just flat out embarrassed that man. So he's got a lot going on there.
I mean, he's going to eventually he's going to part ways with the show, whether it be from Skip Bayless getting him fired or from him just flat out having enough of it and can't take it anymore. But the visuals are showing, it's cracks all in that duo right there. So it's
Oh yeah,
coming. I don't think Shannon Sharp can sit there and take this for another 5 to 10 years.
It's not gonna last that long. It's not the life your lifespans of those when you have those debatables and you have personalities like that. Those shows got about a 5 to 6 year run, and they're getting to about what 3 or 4 years since they both
Mm-hmm.
went to Fox.
yeah,
It's gonna be time anyway, just out of the world of TV that one of them that they have to change it up. They always have to because you have to create a new narrative.
Well, we know which one out that equation is going to be going. Skip been around. He ain't going nowhere.
And it won't even what happened is Shannon had his own show. He won't even beat. So
Mm-hmm.
all right. Anything else on the?
ultimately, that's what I think Shannon wants anyway.
Yeah, and I think he has his own. Well, he has his own show on the social network. Like,
Yeah, Club Shay Shay.
yeah, and notice I use social network. So that's gonna come into play later on in the show. But yeah, he has the club Shay Shay. All right. Anything else on the Shannon Sharp, gentlemen?
Nothing here.
All right. All right. Let's go ahead and slide over to um, Damar Hamlin and the situation there with Buffalo. Uh, we definitely didn't immediately jump into it. We wanted to wait and let things simmer. Um, let things play out as far as his health and everything before we got into that. So, I mean, a lot of people have to be aware of what happened with his I'm just say cardiac arrest. But you know, the situation where he had to get, you know, had to leave the game. The game was canceled, suspended, and now he's recovering. He's on the road to recovery, but there's a lot of things that spin off of that. And Hot Tub, I know you had a lot to say about this, so go ahead and throw your things out there about Damar Hamlin.
I think this underscores the need for the NFL to have guaranteed contracts for these young men when they come in. The lifespan in the league is very, very short. 2 to 3 years? And I think he's on his second year. He's not even met the eligibility to have the NFL pension and insurance. So whatever comes out of his recovery, he's going to still need long-term care that the NFL is not going to put the bill for to provide. And I think this is an opportunity for the NFL Players Union to leverage that, to get guarantees in their contracts, even on the on short contracts when you come into the NFL, because it is a dangerous sport. It's been proven time and time again. The injuries are long lasting. So it's incumbent upon the league, it's incumbent upon the Players Union to set protections in place for these guys. Because suppose he has long-term injuries, he doesn't get a pension. That man is in his 20s. He has a good 50 to 60 years worth of life to live with long-term injuries and no way of making the income that he's making now. He's on a rookie contract. That's what, $800,000?
Depends.
What does he do when that money's gone?
Depends on where he got drafted. Huh?
Yeah, he's roughly somewhere in that 800,000 range.
And that's going to go quick when you're talking about long-term health injuries. And if he didn't have any insurance in place, outside insurance in place, guess what? He foots that bill out of pocket. And I think the NFL is doing a disservice to the athletes. You're asking parents to put their kids into a sport that could cause serious injuries in high school and college, with the hopes of making it to the pros and getting these big money contracts. But a lot of them don't know that those come later. You normally have to be at least about 3 years in before you see a big money contract. So now you're dealing with the league minimum. There should be safeguards in place to protect athletes when they have catastrophic injuries on these rookie contracts where there is no money guaranteed. Because guess what? They got harmed in service of the job that you asked them to do. So I think you should be responsible for their health and well-being. I mean, if we're not gonna say, okay, we'll give you this $800,000 guaranteed, or we'll give you this insurance policy that covers you in case of something, in case of catastrophic injuries like this on your first contract.
Here's the problem, Tom. I'm going to have to interject. The Players Association and the union and the players don't want that. They want their money.
I think they'll change their mind after this.
Yes. I mean, this is a fluke accident. This is a different type of injuries, but we've almost seen up to the point of men dying. We see that. Remember now, we got a thing right now where we're finding 30 years later that these guys have CTE and they're literally waking up, killing their whole damn family or killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a situation where all this is new and nobody knows this stuff is going on. You see what I'm saying? What you have, we're looking at this thing from 40 plus individuals, right? And we're in a different mode of our life versus looking at ourselves as young, indestructible lions. That this is never going to happen to me, and a lot of times you don't believe that will never happen to you until it happens to you. So there's a lot good. Now I will agree that there are things that should be done in the NFL as far as contract wise, but relatively speaking, we're trying to talk about the weakest union out of the three.
Definitely agree that they are the weakest union.
Out of the big three. Correction. So I mean,
But then that's just
the guarantee contract thing. It's hard to get that out of a. One of the reasons why it's harder to get it out of a NFL contract because the average NFL career is what 3 years,
3 years.
right? You get vetted at 4, and then on top of that, the the top. So even with their stars, outside of some quarterbacks, um, most players in NFL, as far as the ownership goes, they're on a 3-year run, and because of the circumstances of where a lot of these people are coming from, as far as generational wealth and other things that could come from this kid making to the league, they know that okay, you don't want to come, or you're gonna strike because we've seen them do it. We've seen them literally fill a 62-man roster while the whole league is on strike.
And they quickly regretted it.
Mm,
That was not a profitable point in time for the NFL.
but it proved something. But it proved the point. You see what I'm saying?
If that
It
was the
proved
case,
it proved it proved the point that we can do this. Okay, it proved what the players proved that they will go out, right?
mm-hmm.
But the league itself proved that even and their point was y'all don't show up, we can get players. We just get kids. Um, there is this fallacy about well, if the talent is not there, if the product what we consider talent is considered on the standard of the product. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If all the greatest of the greats refuse to play the sport anymore, the standard of the product will be whatever the product is at that point. You know, for instance, we all talk about how the NFL's soft now. We're used to the crunch course and all the other things that go on. But yet, what we don't realize is even with all this, what they quote unquote the sissifying of NFL and making it where it's not a man's game anymore, the growth of the league has steadily grown even more. So that's what you have to contend with when you say guaranteed contracts, when you say this, when you say that, you
I'm, I'm,
have to prove to the owners that they are going to lose if they don't get.
they
Power
did
only yields to power. How?
they did lose when the NFL went on strike. The ownership acquiesced to the players' union.
Oh
That's
no,
how
they
the
did not.
strike was lifted.
Okay,
If
hold
they
on.
didn't, we would still be dealing with an era of replacement players, and the safeguards that we have in place now
Okay.
wouldn't be there.
The
Those
play.
were negotiated then.
All right. Here's the thing. You say that the players won. Um, I can prove to you that even though the players make bigger salaries than they ever made, that the owners percent of what the owners make and what the players make is actually more unbalanced than it was back when they did that strike.
Of course it is.
I'm just saying.
But
So if you
during
hold
that
on,
time,
if
they
you
didn't
had
act,
won, if you had won, it would be more of a 50-50, or the ratio would stay the same.
they didn't ask for a stake in like merchandise and ticket sales, video
No,
games.
no, no, no,
They
no,
didn't ask
no.
for
They,
any
they
of that
no,
money.
they didn't ask for the new digital currency stuff, but they did ask for rights and concessions and all the different things. They asked for a certain portion of total revenue of the sport, and no, what they got was a gradual salary cap. Now, everybody seems to think that salary caps are there to control inflation as far as salaries go, but is in place for the owners. And I'm sorry to control competitive edges and all the other stuff. It's not. It's there to control wages. It's always been that way.
Agreed. Agreed. That's exactly what it's there for. And considering that this is the most out of the big top three sports in America, football is by far the most dangerous. So they,
Mm-hmm.
in my
The
opinion,
danger.
they
Hold
need
on.
to be negotiating for the most protections,
Yeah, let
most
me tell you
guarantees.
this.
But like you said earlier, the NFL also has the weakest player union. So
Yeah,
they're not, even when they go into negotiations with ownership, they're not asking for the right things, in my opinion.
well, guys, I think the NFL should have guaranteed contracts, and so are all three of us on that page.
Absolutely.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Mr. Robinson, I really want you to say those comments because when we get in it, we want to address all of them. So if you got more in the barrel, I don't want your comments to get left up in the chain. If you got some more comments left, when we get into the Ed Reed and the HBCU thing, I want you to fire them all off, brother. I don't want us to forget anything you said on that topic. I want to get all the way into it. All right.
Yeah, we definitely will. And
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
yeah, Dr. I got all your comment. We got them all saved right here. We're gonna throw them out there so you can keep it rolling. But we definitely gonna get into that one. But back to the Hamlin situation, NFL players, and et cetera. All right, so we know it's about 3.5 years as far as the average uh, career
All right.
span in the NFL.
So, okay,
And well,
one more thing. Do you know the number of reason why there's an issue with long time care for NFL players?
Why is that?
Because the players now, because the guys that are in the league, the younger guys with these bigger salaries, don't feel like you should be paying for these guys that that came before them.
Well, that underscores a bigger problem. And
It does.
when they come
But
in,
it's a thing that's been going on forever. That is part of the reason why it's hard to get those negotiations in. Because at the end of the day, it's almost like the whole scam of Social Security. The people now are paying for the people that used to be.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's paying for the people. The people work. It's like now the people basically the trick bag of Social Security because of all the stuff the government did. Whatever way you pull it is, whoever works now pays Social Security for the people that gets checks, and that's how a lot of those young players feel. Why
Yeah.
do we got to foot this bill for them when y'all should have did this? Y'all should have took this money out of their checks at the time, so it'll be there for them when it came time to get it.
Well, just like the NFL has that when the player first comes into the league, they have to do a financial management classes. They sit down
hmm
with former players that
Yeah.
explain to them the pitfalls and how you will lose your money and how you can retain your money that you have
Hmm.
through the course of your playing career. They have classes where they didn't have those before.
Right.
And the same thing should go with
Why do they have those classes now?
because it was bad. It was a bad look on the NFL that everybody had to come through it
Exactly.
going broke.
yeah,
Exactly. So in order to get quote unquote the league to do anything, it has to be something that's to the league's benefit.
And this, you don't think this is? You don't think this was a bad look on the league itself?
Tone, my brother, it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what they believe. Because sometimes there's a lot of stuff that we do as a society that it's quite obvious to people like me and you that's just a benefit that most people like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, but public sentiment does have a lot to do with it. The whole
Yeah.
taking the knee situation that costs the NFL. So if public sentiment is behind getting these young players, these young athletes, some security and some insurance set in place from day one, some guaranteed contract money in place from day one, the NFL will be in. Now, I would say that's incumbent upon the players. You need to go on a full court blitz on social media
They
whenever you
never
got a
did.
camera in front of you to push for those safeguards.
No,
But
well, I'm
if the
going to say,
players ain't willing to do it, then it won't happen.
right. But
The
here's
public
my
will
thing.
get behind you.
Yes. But on the same token, it's kind of hard. But it's going to take the actual players in the league to be involved because sometimes it's hard to get behind somebody who don't even believe in their own welfare. And people are going to, because the first thing they're going to say is, okay, this rookie salary is $800,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So minus taxes, something about $600,000, right?
I'd say a little less. Looking more towards five.
Oh, it's way well. What we got to understand. I mean, we can get into what the truth of it is because one, they are a contract,
Mm-hmm.
right? So outside, yes, they got some medical benefits from the league, but they also got to pay for all the things that keeps them their jobs. It'll be like you are a carpenter or whatever you are. There's tools that you're gonna need that goes into your expense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
Well, you're a professional athlete. You got training, you got flights, you got all the different things you need. You got equipment and everything else that you pay for to keep it going. So yes, the $800,000 doesn't really stretch as far as you think it does. When we're going by the rookies, or we're going by the average salary, because actually the rookie salary is actually more in the lines of somewhere around $600,000, but the vets is I think that $800,000 is more of a veteran minimum. Don't quote me, but I think that's where it sits now. It's been so long since I looked at the stuff. But anyway, society's gonna look at it is why are we taking um all this stuff and what about so and so and what about so and so? Because for instance, when Hamlin got hurt, I can't think of his name now. A guy came out and had a whole conversation about how technically if he can't play ball or all the other stuff, exactly what we're discussing now, that he has a medical issue that is going to take long term care, and it's more or less like there's not really a real time workers comp type deal in NFL.
He's right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
there isn't.
Right, but that individual got roasted because the first thing they said is, "Here you worried about these guys that play a game, and here you worried about these millionaires." The first thing they said is, "What about the soldiers?" So the point I'm getting at is most people they narrow their vision down to whatever my peer group is, and then they say, okay, they it's the whole divisiveness of a lot of things that people do. Divisiveness is divisiveness. It's because these guys make this much money, these guys make this much money. I tell
And
people all the
I
time.
would counter that by saying,
I,
as a former soldier, those same people that say, "What about the soldiers?" don't give a shit about the soldiers either.
I
Let's be
totally
honest
agree.
about
I
this.
totally
And
agree.
then
I totally agree. But it's got something to do with people find envy in people that quote unquote make a lot of money. I'm adamant about the wealth gap in professional sports because I think it's brought up. Why do I think? Do I think they get paid enough money? I think both of y'all have heard my opinion about money. I get paid enough money when I'm because what my value is to anybody is countless. So, and that goes for any man. If I
mhm,
you if you if I ask for it and you pay me, it's not my fault. You must have thought my value was whatever, right?
right,
But people tend to think because somebody's managed to negotiate a higher value that all of a sudden they should discount the same things because you take a guy that cut lawns every day as an employee, a laborer, right?
hmm
What, $12, $13 an hour. All right. You take a guy that work in a warehouse, $20 an hour, right?
hmm
Guarantee you the guy that makes $13 an hour is going to tell the guy that makes $20 an hour, you shouldn't worry about that because you make $20 an hour. You should let that ride. Right?
Oh
In
yeah.
other words, we as people tend to know, but what the truth is, the guy that makes 13, the guy that makes 20, the guy that makes 50, the guy that makes a million doesn't matter. The person that's paying everybody has steadily increased their wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a known thing. Value and wealth of CEOs of corporations or whatever have farly outpaced what they're paying their employees. I mean, I get the whole supply and demand thing, but it's also got a lot to do with a lot in that the because you got to think now we make more money, but companies all across the board give less benefits. So yeah, we got these huge salaries, but the price of healthcare's gone up, and we're paying more on that side, whereas we paid a lot less percentage wise and amount size, right?
I mean, I hear all that, but this is where I'm gonna hit you with on this. Right now, with this situation, we dealing with the Hamlin situation. This is the
Mm-hmm.
perfect opportunity for the players union to force ownership back to the table. And it's incumbent upon platforms like this and other independent platforms outside of your ESPN, your Fox Sports, and that not to be pushing that narrative that yes, you need to have these safeguards in place because guess what? The NFL is in bed with ESPN. They're not gonna push this narrative. So if it's not coming from the people and platforms like this that are demanding that our young kids, because we're the ones sending our children into the league, we're the ones sending them to become product and to possibly get catastrophic injuries like this. So yes, as a father of a child athlete, yes, I have a vested interest in this. And my outlook on now, I don't give a shit about your profits. I want to do what's best for the safety of my child. And if you're not going to guarantee any safeguards that if something happens to him, that he will be taken care of, not me, not the family, but him. If he can't be taken care of for the rest of his life, then I'm not going to give you my child to be your product. And that mindset has to be in, I don't care what economic status you're in. Does that money equate to have more value than your child? Because that's at the end of the day, we're talking about these kids like they're toys, like they're just pawns. No, it's lives attached to this. And I need parents to wake up and say that money does not mean more than my child. That's a narrative that we as parents, that platforms like these, independent platforms like these, need to be
Yeah.
pushing to force the NFL to change their policy. Because as we see, the players union, they have no balls. If I was over the players union, guess what? That happened the day that happened. 2 days later, the very least 2 days later, hey, we need to be in negotiations about this because I got a player that does not have any safeguards for his financial future, for his health and well-being in place, and we need to correct this right now. That's the mentality you have to have. But if the players don't have the balls enough to do it, then we have to do it. We have to demand this of the NFL.
Yeah, because they're getting over. NFL's getting over on this, man.
Yes, they are. Record profits, and you can't pay for it. The health and well-being of your product.
Amen. Amen to that. Carbon Q, what's up?
You know, well, everybody knows. The two of y'all know my opinion about playing football.
Hey, Carver, please share
Agree.
that. Please share that with everybody. We know, Coy, but you need to share that.
As a former high school and college football player, I will honestly tell a parent it is not a good place for you to send your child. It's not a good sport to send your child in. The wear and tear, the safety issues, and a lot of the other things that come along with it, it's not worth it. If your child is that 1% of 1% tier athlete, trust me, he will be seen and he will prosper in other sports. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will come out here and talk about it, and I will do whatever, and I will actually tell a kid to play football and coach him and part my knowledge to them. But as a far as because I believe in personal choice. But as far as decisions wise, this sport that we call football, which I loved passionately because I came up just like any other kid, said I'm going to be a football player, and I sucked my whole soul into it. It is not. It's not the best opportunity for your child.
Yeah.
Just being honest. However, that being said, I do agree that there's things that should be done as far as long-term help for those players. But I also do understand that there's this balance between capitalism and the free marketplace, and it kind of gets a little wonky because my argument with a lot of these professional leagues is they 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 pay their players and they run these contracts and they do a lot of things on the back of capitalism and ownership, but yet in a lot of ways because of the nature of the deals they have, they do a lot of socialist shit when it comes to how other teams, how other leagues and other people in their profession are connected. So
Of
yeah.
course. Of course. Do you realize that when the world stopped in 2020, all your major sports league got federal government money to stay afloat?
Now
Y-
that was no hold on.
Yes, they did.
No, no. I'm not
Yes.
denying. I'm not
Okay.
denying your comment. But let's be honest. All Fortune 500 and all businesses that were big because they got the wherewithal, got the lawyer, and have everything in place to get the money first. Got the money. I'm just saying, don't just make it seem like it was just the government looked out for these leagues. No, the government itself set up a plan that was disadvantaged to the mom and pop business overall, and all the major corporations, all the biggest food distributors, all the car companies, all these major corporations that has a machine that can move on this stuff. They've got a building full of lawyers and blah blah blah. Yes, they got all the money first, and then when the money came out, the little mom and pops didn't get it. I totally
My,
agree.
my
What I
point
don't
being, my
want to
point
do
being,
is point directly at them and say they were the only ones.
no. My point being by bringing that up is that they cannot use that free market versus capitalism argument because you operate in a form of socialism. When you go through lean times as a league, guess who props them up? The federal government. So
Now,
as the product in that same scenario, we're asking for the same thing: safeguards to ensure the health, safety, and
hold up,
well-being
hold up.
of our young men and these athletes.
All right, Tom, hold up. All right, Mr. 411's getting the insight of how me and you couldn't go back and forth. Hold up, Tom. But if they with that logic, that goes across the board through the whole economy. That's why I've made the point of saying they're not the only ones. Whether it's trains, whether it's automobiles, whether it's buses, whether it's sandwiches, whether it's all the different things, we're pushing that back through the whole economic system. My point being is, in a lot of ways, whatever professional sports are, it's kind of like whatever the military is. We take that subgroup, and it's a particular sample of how society as a whole works, meaning bosses and employees. We don't see it the same because of when we talk about professional sports, we're looking at a people that have a whole different economic power and lifestyle that we have. But realistically, in that we also got to look at they live in a world where their whole lifetime earnings is within a 4 to 5 year window because the average lifespan is 3 years, right?
Correct.
And us as normal people, our lifespan as far as our jobs and our craft is 20, 30 years, which if giving we do what we're supposed to, meaning not dumb shit because pro players go broke and regular people go broke. But if we do we prepare ourselves and work and set ourselves up for our retirement over our 20, 30 years of whatever, we're gonna do okay too. See what I'm saying? So, but we tend to isolate them on their salaries and this, that, and the third. But whatever if a pro athlete comes in and have $1 million contract over his 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once he's done, he still got to go to work because because that $1 million is not going to cover the next 70 years.
Yeah,
Right.
$1 million
Oh
is not a lot of money.
no, I do agree that the Players Association, because this conversation before Hamlin got hurt or whatever came in 2 contracts ago. I used to be real. I still am. I may not watch as much as far as the pro game go for my
Mhm.
own personal reasons, but I do like to listen to the negotiations and a lot of other stuff. But 2 contracts ago, this was one of the sticking points that the Players Association, because there's more than one. There's the one for the retired players, there's the Players Association or whatever, and it was a sticking point of the pitches and the long term care. And the biggest fight and argument was some of our biggest name players that looked like me and you were arguing, why am I going to give up this portion of my salary to help someone that's already retired if, and FYI, I got all this money anyway.
Well, this is what I
I'm
would
good.
have. This
I'm
is
just
how.
telling you that was a sticking point. That was the
But this is
sticking
how
point.
I would have countered that argument. I would have brought in Jerome Bettis. And you remember when he retired, he won the Super Bowl. His touchdown won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But if you saw what he
But
went
Tony,
through just to
Tony,
get
Tony.
ready for that, that man is broken right now. That man is
But Tony,
old. He's not
I
even.
got you.
Hold on. Hold
He's
Hold,
not
on.
hold on.
in his 60s, and he can barely walk. Start
Okay.
bringing all these old players in and show them, have them tell their story. This is
Yeah.
what
All right.
3 years of the NFL did
Hey,
to me.
and
10,
bring in
15
Earl
years
Campbell.
later. Earl
Hold
Campbell
on, hold
is
on. But
here.
no, let me counter a point. At the time you're talking about, Jerome Bettis was actually a member of the league, which was actually one of those players that was a counter to that ideal of paying those veterans.
And bring him in now. Let's see how he talks. Let's
You
see.
see what I'm? You see
He
my
talk
point?
the
You see
same.
my point is my point is you have the people, you have Jerome Bettis in the now that will agree with that, but Jerome Bettis 20 years ago, that may not have been his. It may not. It wasn't. It was. He had the money. They don't. They
But
have
that
the volume of
but that's what
money
they need.
right now.
But that's what they need to see. They need to see
They need
that.
to see this.
They need to see it now.
Those young
Tony,
players need to be. I
Tony,
think. I
they
think they
see
should
it
be
every
forced.
day.
I think they should be forced to sit down with the worst of the worst, health wise of the older players, and let them have that talk with them and say, "I played for 3 years, and look at me now. I made a
But
lot of
you,
money
hold,
then,
hold
but
on, hold
look
on,
at
hold on.
me now."
What y'all haven't realized and what you haven't noticed about these younger players is guess what else they're doing?
They're
They're
diversifying.
willing to have. No, I ain't worried. And it's shit. You got enough money, you should be diversified. You got so much money, it all can't go one place. I'm not even talking about that part of it. Have you noticed the Patches Willises? You notice those type Calvin Johnson. What is particular about those 2 kids?
Where they left early.
hmm And that's actually becoming a more of a trend now. What
That's a
these
smart
kids have
trade.
decided, what these kids have decided is something that their elders didn't have, and because they didn't have the financial, because they couldn't have the ability to do it, they decided they treat this thing like this. They treat it like what a lot of the millennials and this generation, which is the most beautiful thing about them was. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna play these years of football. I'm gonna take this tool and put them in my toolbox, and then I'm gonna get the hell on and go start my second chapter of my life. Because what I'm not gonna do is let y'all define who I am. Now, what's gonna happen because these kids are doing this and the NFL lose their stars, i.e., their money and a lot of other things, the NFL is gonna start wanting to have solutions to say, why are my stars leaving early? Right?
Yeah.
Then that's when the player association and the players have to be smart enough to say, well, here's some of the things that may make it worth me staying.
Well,
Once
why do
upon a
we
time,
why do we have to wait 5, 10 years for that to happen, for
I
them to
mean,
see it on the micro
because the
level? When
player
do you
because
have
the
a
play
players union that can start to plant those seeds right now?
well, I mean, you got to go to the union and the players association why they don't have this conversation. I'm
And
giving you the
that's
things that make
incumbent
them
upon
react.
this is why these conversations right here
Yeah.
on these public platforms are important, because we can enforce policy. We can influence policy with the players union by putting them on Front Street and say, you are failing the dang people you swore to represent. And they need to be
hmm
put in a position to where they are shamed for that.
Yeah,
That's going
because
to
hmm
force them to start addressing these issues.
Yeah, because if it gets to a point where less and less younger, youth are playing football, or that's going to be less that come up into the pro ranks down the pipeline, and so that's what you got to do. You got to force it. Think about this too, gentlemen. There's a lot of players, and I'm gonna use one for example. Y'all remember Randall L.
I remember
Anton
Randall.
Yes.
Randall L. Right?
Hmm.
He's current. I think he's about 35, 36 years old now, but he played in the NFL for 9 seasons, so he did go over that 3.5 year window. But he's come out and said, hey, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't even play football. I'll play
Okay.
baseball. And there's a
Remember my
lot
point?
of yeah, it goes back
What
to
did
what
I
you said
say
earlier,
earlier?
Corey. Yeah,
Now,
he
you
and he said
do
that, Corey. He said he regrets ever, not just NFL. He said he regrets ever playing football because of concussions. And these football players are getting concussions, and as you mentioned, CTE. It's starting when you play, Pop Warner type football and going up. You know what I'm saying? Once you start doing these collisions, you already on track for that. And so
most
and so
most
that's
people
why I do
that
feel like that if you're looking at professional level, you do need to get into a guaranteed. They need to start setting up guaranteed contracts.
and the reason why they won't do this, the reason why is that's a known fight, and the players association have been trying to fight it,
Yeah.
and they came the counter was the signing bonuses, right? Which all sounded great, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the player association, because let's be honest, NFL players are just like people, everyday people. They just have bigger paychecks on payday. Agree?
That's
when
fair.
when it when
Agree.
when it came time, the owners started coming up with these ideas of prorating the signer's bonus because they woe with me, blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
all the bullshit. The same thing that they caused the problems with the rookie salary cap, right? Because
Right.
the reason why the rookie salary cap came in place is because the owners don't have self control. Agree or disagree, Tyrone?
Absolutely agree.
Because they
I
they
agree with
don't
that.
they don't have enough self control because they're people too. All they're thinking about is if I get this new one pick and I get him signed,
Mm-hmm.
I'll back the Brinks truck up for you to give me this.
Because
Because
I
once
want to
upon a
win
time,
now.
it's the once upon a time you got to think now. If you think about it, you there's only how many teams? 32 teams, right?
Right.
Yeah, the NFL. Yeah,
Okay, and there's 300 million people plus in this country. I think it's 400 million, and it would be safe to say that 20% of those are professional sports fans.
that's
And you
close.
can
I
and you
would
can
dare to
divvy
say
that.
higher.
You can divvy you. And I'm talking about 20 football, and you can divvy that up between in results. You probably have I don't know 10 to 15 million hardcore football fans. Is that fair?
I'm
And then
good with
you
that.
divvy up,
That's fair.
then you divvy that up with the different teams. They won't be broken easy, but you can honestly say that every team probably has a good at least 500,000 loyal fans, which is comparable to the amount of football fans. Not a lot, maybe, right? Because most of these cities do have are cities of a million plus people, right?
Right.
For the most part,
Most
or
of them.
whatever. All right. Now, the reason why I break that down is to if I spend all this money on this quarterback and pay him this ridiculous amount of money, and we win a Super Bowl, that means I get to sell playoff merchandise. I get to sell NFC
Yeah.
championship T-shirts. I get to sell these hats.
Jersey.
I get to sell these jerseys. All this other stuff. And if those loyal 500,000 that I get all the pieces of paraphernalia because nobody buys one or two when their team wins. They get all the shit, right? And now
Mm-hmm.
I have a commercial on TV, which is the Super Bowl, the most televised game of most televised watched sporting event in the world is worth me spending all that money for that one chance to do that shit. Like I said, truth be reality is you have a 1 in 32 chance, but that's not true in winning the Super Bowl. So that's why they can't. That's why they need help to have self control from themselves.
bottom line, with all the excuse me, with all these record profits on the line, with all the money that the NFL is generating, it's actually in their best interest to do these type of measures to ensure the health and well-being of their athlete, because it's
Now,
going to keep a steady supply of athletes coming in the league. If you
now,
start to show, hold on, when you start to show, and it's been showing these last couple of years, that these are the repercussions for you playing a lifetime of this particular sport. And those images keep being out there in the public eye. Less and less, you're gonna see less and less people putting their kids in these type of sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
understand
disagree.
hold on. I understand the mindset that used to be in the past where this was the way for my kids to get out the ghetto. We're not in those times no more. It's thousands of ways for kids to get out the ghetto. And let's be clear, most of our people, and I'm speaking on black people because we're the majority of NFL players. Most of our people are not in the ghetto. Most of the kids that's coming out into the league now are coming in from the suburbs, not these underprivileged areas. Let's be clear on that. Hell, when you can
Disagree.
go, when you tell a kid, hey, you can put your body on the line and possibly have a chance to make a couple $1 million in football 18 years from now, or you can make a TikTok channel, or you can make a YouTube channel, get millions of views, and get the same amount of money in a shorter span of time. Which one you think the kid's gonna take nowadays?
Some of them do. And the thing about it
Exactly.
is, hold on. The thing about it is, when you what you offer on the table, you would think the TikTok is the easier choice, meaning generate a business, right? Okay. The truth of the matter is, physical currency is the cheapest currency that young people tend to can give up, whether it's playing a sport, whether it's a woman's attractiveness, whether it's any of the ways you can think of physical currency. Mental currency usually comes from, it takes more from you, more effort from you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not denying the dedication and the what it takes to become a professional athlete, because technically most professional athletes are physical freaks of nature. I have a I've had a conversation with a doc. One people I would say is one of my mentors in life, right? And one of his side hobbies or whatever, he was Filipino, so don't think it was just some old, I don't know, eugenics fella. All right, it was just he was, but and we had a long discussion one evening when I was visiting with him, and we talked about talents, right? What you find out is the 1% of physical talent is rarer, meaning the Jordans, the 4.3s, the 4.2s, the blah 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 blah, all those. The 6'4" guy that runs 4.6 is even rarer than a Mozart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So so now you take somebody that they're that percentage of an athlete. Nobody knows until the time comes. And even in my time, there was a level where it was like, and Tyrone got to grow. Me and Tyrone's been friends since we were what, 5, 6 years old. So he
Yeah.
got to see the maturation. And this is not being me cocky, because I don't really like going into what I was as an athlete. It was very quickly when we played as little kids that when I played, it was a difference compared to
Yeah.
my peers. And then so a lot of times I would go play with the bigger kids, and it was still a big difference. Okay,
Yeah.
it didn't take much effort because my currency was physically, athletically, my currency was so much more than I had so much more in the bank that I could easily just spend it and wouldn't think nothing of it. Okay, now knowing that, and of course somebody noticed. Everybody noticed. It's easy. I'm noticing. I don't have to. But when it comes to you spending your mental currency, you don't get the aberration. You don't get all the other stuff. You only get that aberration after the end result. Whereas when you're spending that physical currency, it's right now. So that's why you're still gonna have. And honestly, yes, there is a truth. There's some truth to the fact that no, all of us are in the ghettos. I think that's the craziest damn narrative we have as a people, that we all getting it from the mud, when honestly the majority of us are in two parents' homes, or have both parents present, and we're just doing what the rest of the world is doing to society. But we glamorize the fact that we all coming from the damn ghetto. I ain't figured out what's so good about the ghetto, because most of the people that was born and raised there trying to get the hell from over there.
Trying to
So
get the hell up out of there. Yes.
yeah, so but we glamorize that aspect of our society, which is nuts. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that being said, these kids, but it is a truth to it that most of the NFL and most of those pro athletes, especially in those sports, tend to be from a certain demographic, in that they're not the daughters. I mean, they're not the sons of heads of corporations as much, right? They're more the sons of educated people, the everyday's man, what society everyday people make up. So that's what they're made of. Because honestly, if you ever notice, there's a whole thing about which when y'all look at quarterbacks, which quarterbacks are better? Just what do you notice about every really, really good quarterback that come along?
They got a high football IQ. They know how to read the defense
Why?
because they were taught.
How?
Well,
I know the answer. I'm
Already
going
give it.
to bring you to the answer.
I'm trying to see where you're going with this.
yeah,
How?
because
How? Tony? How?
they were breeded that way.
Say what?
They were breeded that way.
No,
Like,
they wouldn't breed it that way.
well, well, well.
Michael Vick's football IQ is just as high as anybody else. But what the
Um,
difference is, go ahead.
what I'm saying is a player like a Michael Vick,
Mhm.
Antoine Randall L, Hines Ward. Uh, you could even throw Doug Flutie and guys like you get what type of quarterbacks I'm getting at. They made it because of their physical athletic ability, and coaches throughout the years just allowed them to play a certain way. And then, but then you may have a Peyton Manning that was groomed to play football
By
at
whom?
that by his parents, right?
By no, no,
Former
no, no, not parents. By
by
whom?
his dad, by a former
Well,
Which
NFL.
one? Whoa,
well,
hold on.
well,
What was what was?
I gotta finish my thoughts here
Okay,
though.
go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
they were trained a certain way to play it, and so that's why, like for me across the board, that's why you see when you talk about uh the separations of quarterbacks, because they were taught to, like, look at Tom Brady. He was not allowed, even though physically he probably couldn't do it anyway. But you get my point. He was trained to play football a certain way. Look at Shador Sanders, athleticism, but he's taught to play a quarterback position a certain way. Not and
You're
that's how you get those elite quarterbacks. Yeah, you can be elite because you have physical ability, but that's only gonna last so long. Look at the
uh
RG
huh.
three. Look at the
Uh-huh.
RG three
But
for example.
I'm trying to get you to see it. I mean, it's plain as day. I know you don't see it there. The majority of the great quarterbacks are coaches' kids. Now, if you really think about it, they are. They're coaches' kids. And
Hmm.
and from the time, because if you think about it, as a young man, and as a young boy or whatever, whether if your daddy goes outside to work on cars, you gonna come out there and work on and gonna want to be out there while he's working on cars, and when you ain't got nothing better to do, you gonna act like you fixing the car, right or wrong, right?
That's a good point. I mean, they're being, but in
They're
other words,
sore, so they're,
you're saying they're
the
being
information.
groomed.
Yeah, it's sore. It's a sore, right? What happens with a Michael Vick or some of the other guys that their dads are not this, or they're not a coach. Even some of the shitty ass little league coaches, because I very seldom have respect for little league coaches because they're gross. Because most of them are on that Al Bunny bullshit. They're trying to outlive their legacy. But when you are a coach's kid, fundamentally your way of looking at sports is totally different, because you're not just out physically. Your physical currency. You regard it with more understanding that, okay, yeah, I could probably run past this guy, but why am I going to burn this when I could just do this, and do this, and I still have something left for later. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, agreed.
But that's the mindset of how you have the great quarterback. There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, even though his dad was a professional baseball player. So he grew up watching his dad become a professional, right? And it's something, and his dad had access to giving him a lot of friends and a lot of other people that he's been coaching and been around professional teams and professional sports and professional football also ever since a baby. So he absorbs the part that you can't coach. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
But let's wrap this part up about the guaranteed contracts and that's spinning off the
Okay.
injury with
My
Hamlin.
final word
So
on
are
is
are we going to end this with does the NFL need to provide guaranteed contracts? And in your opinion, how do you get there?
my
Absolutely.
opinion. I will start out. My opinion, they don't need to provide guaranteed contracts. What they need to do is guarantee the bonuses. All right? Guarantee the bonuses and stop prorating bonuses. Just cut the prorate. If you cut the prorate bonus out, because even when you say guaranteed contract, there's this little thing that says in the law, breach of contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For whatever reason that they can come up with, there's
Yep.
a chance that they can use that against you. Give me my signing bonus. Do not prorate it, and we'll
Exactly.
call it square. Because if I
Right.
come in, if I sign a $10 million deal, this, that, and the third, and I say, okay, I'll take 6 million, and you give me 3 million to 2 million up front, I'm better off. Because right now the way it works is they give you a $10 million deal, a $5 million sign bonus that's prorated over the life of the contract, and then they cut your ass at 3 years, and all you get is 1 million of that signing bonus and whatever you made in those 3 years.
I can go with what you just set up, Coy, but I would
Like
do you
the
one
game,
better.
the game is the game. So I mean, the deal is you don't really. I mean, for because of the nature is with baseball and basketball, because of the nature and the lifespan of players and those players, they tend to stick around longer. They see the end of their contract more often than football players do.
So with what you just said, I agree with everything you just said, but I would add one caveat: lifetime health care should be embedded in your contract, no matter how you negotiate it, no matter if they take what you just set up or they keep it the same. But
Now,
lifetime health care needs to be embedded from day one when you play this game.
all I'm gonna say is, and I would say that to get that, the players will have to come up with the understanding that they're gonna ask something from them. While I'm giving you, if you're gonna do that, you're just like your pension is a certain percentage of your total salary,
Mm-hmm.
a 2%, 5%, or whatever it may be, out of what I pay you is gonna go toward. It's gonna be like a match. If you pay 1%, I pay 1%. The same 1% I take out of your salary, I put back into the pool for healthcare. Because that's what the league's gonna ask for.
And I will tell the league no, because you haven't set up a safe work environment for me to agree to that. The environment of football is not a safe environment. It's just not. So with that being said, I shouldn't
Although,
I shouldn't have to take
oh,
a
hold on,
percentage
hold on,
of the, hold
hold
on,
on,
hold
hold
on, hold on.
on.
I shouldn't have to. I as a player should not have to take a percentage of the risk. No, that should come solely from you.
Whoa,
That
whoa,
should
whoa!
not,
I'm gonna
that
say,
should
I'm
not
as an
be.
owner, as an owner, I'm gonna say to you, because at this point now, all my bullshit's been put on the table. That's the biggest thing. All my bullshit, all the research I did over CTE and all the other stuff that has not been addressed in court to get these lawsuits off has been all my ill wills has. So what I'm telling you is you came and knowingly came and took this job. And I gave you all, and everything that the rest of doing this job is this. So don't come to me later and say you act like you didn't know this risk exists.
Well, no, I would disagree
And you
because
can't
we still
call,
don't
you
know.
can't
Hold
call, you
on, hold
can't
on, hold
call,
on,
you
hold
can't
on.
call my, huh?
We don't know. We don't know because there are some outlying risks that have not been evaluated over long term, i.e., taking that jab. And why these young athletes who took it keep getting blood clots. That has not been evaluated over long term. So that's a risk that's unexpected. But you at the NFL, you demanded all your players take that shot. You see where I'm going with this? So
Hold on.
because you made it mandatory, hold on, because you made it mandatory for me to play this game, I signed on before that came into place. This came after I signed on. If you'd have had it before, every player after that mandate can't claim that, but all the current players can. And now all of them, and a bunch of them now keep popping up with blood clots. That's happening over all sports, and it's happening to young
Now,
athletes.
no,
So now that's an
that is
unexpected
true.
thing.
That
So
is
now
true.
that's
But
more
hold
leverage
on, hold
for
on,
the
hold on,
players you
hold
want to
on,
come back
hold
and
on,
say
Tone.
you should be paying
No,
health care
no,
long term.
but
Yes, you
see,
should.
now, no, hold on. Here's the deal. That particular jab, as we like to call it, is particularly something that was almost federally and governmentally was mandated in order for you to proceed. So that, as an owner, I'm gonna say, shit, I agree with you. I didn't want to take the jab
That
damn
wasn't
either.
federally mandated. There was no
Oh,
federal
it was
mandate on that.
because
I never
okay,
got it.
hold
I
on,
never
hold
got
on.
it.
Let
There
me
was
tell
no
you why.
federal mandate that demanded me to get it.
No,
So no,
no,
your
it was
argument
no,
is
no, it
invalid,
was not
brother.
a federal mandate. But what it was by the state, and by the rules of the land. That in order for you to gather, because you can't, because you gotta, it's the same thing I say about um
That wasn't every
gun
state, bro.
control.
There
No,
was very few states that made it
tone,
that
tone,
made it
tone,
mandatory.
tone. Take a breath. Let me finish. All right. It was not. It don't. I'm gonna. It's the same fallacy with why gun control is some bullshit. The minute there's one gun, there's the argument for gun control is gone. Right. All it took is the fact that if you wanted to play in the state of New York and play an NFL game, you had to have that jab. Agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
That's what
If
they
you
said.
wanted to
Hold
play,
on.
hold on.
Hold
If
on.
you
Let me
wanted to
throw
play in
something in there before you
California,
go. Let me go throw
all
something
right.
in there. And do you see what New York had to come back and do? New York made it mandatory for you to, if you wanted to work in the state of New York, you had to have that jab. So now they're having to
Mhm.
come back and pay informing
I just said you need to go after
employees
the government.
for that mandate. So
Right.
the same rules should apply to the
That's
NFL.
right. You go at that's not the NFL. That's the government. You going after the government over that mandate. That's all I'm saying. That's a governmental mandate. That's all I'm saying. The
That
culprit is the
wasn't a
government. So,
governmental mandate. Cause see, that's the fallacy that everybody say.
no,
Only
you
a handful of
sue.
states
It
made
don't
that
matter. It doesn't.
mandatory.
Well, like, who runs a state? A state government, i.e.,
Mhm.
government, right? So, because of the states that mandated I'm going to tell you as an owner, you go after the states that mandated
I'm
because
going after you too as the owner. I'm going
you
after
can.
both of you.
That's fine. I'm just going to sue the states to get my money that I give you. They don't care about that part.
Well,
I'm breaking.
let them sue the state
That's fine.
because you made it mandatory for me to work. So
Mhm.
if the state messed up by making it a mandate, you as the organization, you need to sue the state, not me.
Mhm.
I'm suing you. I'm going after you because you made this mandatory for me, and it's causing me and other players that look like me to drop dead and have blood clots and long lasting injuries on the fucking field. So I'm going after you. Whoever you go after, that's your business. I don't give a shit. I don't
Mhm.
give a damn who you have to go after. I'm going after you.
Until what's your resolution here? Guaranteed contracts and why and how?
I say guaranteed. I agree with Coy. Actually, he had a very good assessment on the monetary side. The only addition that I would make to it is I would add there should be the option for a long term health care from day one. Because every player is not going to use it. Every player may not need to use it. But for those who do have to use it, it'll be readily available. Everybody doesn't go to the doctor all the time. So
Tony, are you
you're
not
not constantly
Tony?
eating at it, but it should be a fund, a pot of money available for these athletes in case of long-term health care related to their their time playing football. And the
Me
NFL has done a
personally,
very good job at stretching that last part of that rule to say, well, we don't know if this is football related. Yes, it is.
well, Tony, I
And
have
that's
to
why I say
caveat
make
to that.
what's that?
I know when you get into the medical, I actually don't believe I know. Are you not a veteran?
I am a veteran.
And that
Hey,
means you get
Ms. Dukes agrees with Tub.
oh whatever. You just agree with him because he's new. Get out of here.
And I'm gonna tell you this, as a veteran, the VA does exactly what the NFL does. If I put in a claim and say, hey, I was in an active war zone, I got hurt, I have to prove that my injury was from the war zone. And then there's still, even if it's a direct result, they still will downgrade it.
What
The
I'm
VA
getting at
doesn't
is
put, and that's the same thing the NFL does. And I don't
right.
agree with
And you
that
know,
from either
because you know
organization.
what the NFL does. That's why I would say I was going to say the caveat to is give me a medical savings plan that you put money into. That's why I say put the 1% in because guess what? That fund itself, just by the nature of economics or whatever, will grow to the point because of the amount of the contracts that will. It's almost like your 401k plus a percentage of match from the company, right?
Hmm.
And that way you can go get your own because guess what they're gonna do? If you put your healthcare all totally in their name, they're gonna tell you gotta go to their doctors, and it's already a known thing. I don't know
Same
about
as
you,
VA.
but I don't know about you, but being in college, a lot of times when you thought something was wrong with you and you wanted to go to your own doctor, they was like, no, 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 no. We want you to go to our doctor.
So that's something that needs to be addressed and it can be refined with negotiation between the players union
Hmm.
and the NFL. You can refine that. Say, yes, I want to
Uh-huh.
be able to use my own outside doctor. I agree with that. That's
That's
something
right.
that's amendment
Because
that
guess
they need
what?
to add to it.
I know, man. That said every you when you keep trying to go to the wolf for protection from the sheep, I mean from the fox, you ain't doing yourself no favors. I'm a firm believer in one thing. When people arbitrarily call quote unquote give you something to help you out, the first thing you need to do is see how does that benefit them.
Agreed. Absolutely,
And
100% agreed.
and when it comes to a person that's really good at financially doing well for themselves, they're really good at making sure they're going to get something out of it.
All right, and then gentlemen, I like everything that you all laid out there, and I'm gonna add something to it as well. And if the league doesn't acquiesce to those requests, then as players, you need to step away and form your own league.
Facts.
All right. So with that said, gentlemen,
Controversy and controversial, and
let's
everybody in the room knows what that means.
yeah, it's gonna take some guts to do it, but that's what you got to do. We're gonna jump into Ed Reed now, and man, I know you guys been salivating on this one, and I'm gonna just preface it with by this. Um,
No.
if
I'm
you
gonna
look at
pause this. My
oh
my
well,
my my viewers. I'm gonna let me let you get off. My
go
viewers.
ahead.
This is the one time that I will be doing the moderating. Have at it, fellas.
The one time. All right, but look, if you notice the title says on the YouTube it says Ed needs to step down. That was put in place before we even found out what actually has occurred. So Bethune Cookman um, has decided not to go in the direction of Ed Reed as their head coach, football coach. And Ed Reed had a lot of things to say about Bethune Cookman, some administration and the way things are going on the campus and so on and so forth. And so now it just leads to the point that they're not going to bring him in as the head coach. So we're gonna play a clip so that you get to hear some things that was said prior to all this happening.
But I'm mutton us, man, picking up trash.
but I'm mutting us. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. I'm mutting us? Man, get out of here, man. They ain't mutting me. These motherfuckers ain't even clean my goddamn office when I got here. I'm mutting y'all? Get your ass, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All this shit here was trash in front of me. Who you think got this shit cleared out? That building right there got trash in it. It's fucking trash. What are you talking about? You need no goddamn donors to come out and help out because people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network. Fuck out of here, man.
All right, so that's Ed Reed. That's some. He's passionate about what he's there for. So we'll get into all this in a minute, but just wanted to lay that video out. There's other videos out there too. There's other things that he said about the university and things that need to be improved on. You know, you may not like the delivery, but that's what he said. So, Tub, let's go ahead and start with this one.
His comments on the way out made me take a sort of a deep dive on Bethune-Cookman.
No, he's on his way in. He wasn't on his way out. He was on his way in.
Well, you're right, on his way in. On his way in and out.
Yeah, because when he walked in the door, he said, "Oh, hell no, look at this." And I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sure. Shut up now. Go ahead.
Well, when I look at these situations, I take a different perspective on it than everybody else. I started looking at who's running this school. Dr. Lawrence Duke III. He is the 8th president of Bethune-Cookman since 2017. Now you have to ask yourself, why has this school ran through 8 heads in less than 5 or 6 years? Why is that? Then you start to look a little deeper. Oh, it's a lot of money missing from Bethune-Cookman. So it's something that he said on the way on his exit interview. These people about money. We need to start. We as Black people, and I'm talking strictly to Black people because this is what affects us. We send our children to HBCU. We need to stop romanticizing these HBCUs of what they used to be or what they stood for. Because whatever they used to be, they're not now. And we have to be honest about the situation that we're in. It's a lot of misappropriation of funds in the HBCU system.
Time out, pause, hold your breath. What aren't they?
They aren't the paragons.
You say what they used to be.
They aren't the paragons and bastions of Black education that they once were. And we got to be honest.
Okay.
You may disagree.
Since we're going to be honest,
you may disagree.
I'm going to ask. I'm just going to ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
Where the majority of Black engineers and doctors come from?
I get all of that. What you're saying. I'm not.
No. I know. I just asked you to answer the question.
They do come out of HBCU.
Okay.
But you're assuming that that's a large percentage of the engineers and doctors. That's still a small percentage
Black,
of those industries.
No. Black engineers and doctors.
And that's
what
I
use
said.
the word
It's a small percentage.
Okay.
Of
and I believe my hold on.
So
I believe my dear brother said.
You may be putting out. Yes, you may be. Hold on.
And there's the end of the narrator.
You may be putting them out.
the middle man.
A lot of them. So let's be clear about that. They put out. Yes, if I'm the only, if there's only 5 of them, and I put out 4 of them, oh yeah, well I put out the most of them, but it's still only 5.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. However, I will say this though. Nobody else is putting out those 5.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not, because if the majority of them are coming from this particular type of school. Majority. I didn't say, and
you
majority.
Said nobody else, and I said yes, they
are.
You said the majority.
I said nobody. I know. I said nobody else is putting out those 5. They may put out 1 or 2, but they're not putting out 5.
Where are you going with this?
Meaning, when you say that they're not the bastions of, no, they have flaws. What I'm trying to say is, I'm going to stand on this. Means you've had these discussions in private. I'm going to stand on this. Yes, I agree with you. There's some shit that need to be fixed. But what we're not gonna do is burn down the kitchen, and we ain't got nowhere else to cook no food. That's
All
all
right.
I'm
Well,
saying.
well,
If
well.
the kitchen,
Let's let.
I
hold
would
on, hold
slide
on,
back.
hold
Well,
on.
I would
well. Hold
slide
If
on.
the
back.
if the kitchen is
Okay.
infested with roaches and rats, I'd rather you burn it down and keep cooking in it and putting out rat infested shit.
All right. Well. So finish your initial thoughts, and then Corey can come in and counter a little bit.
My point being, Ed Reed said Dion wasn't lying. They're saying the same thing. These people are coming in with a fresh set of eyes. And something you brought to me, Mr. 411. Something you said yesterday.
Okay.
They're not in a position as the other head coaches in all these other HBCUs to where they're beholden to a paycheck. These guys are rich already. They basically doing charity work here with the amount of salary that they're being paid. They're giving more back of their salary than they're even taking in. So they have the luxury to say things that these other head coaches can't say because they still beholden to a check. And they're saying, yes, what you keep hearing over and over and over again, these folks stealing. And then that made me start to look at a lot of HBCU systems over the past 20 years. Who are the heads of these systems? And I'm starting to see a consistent theme with the majority of them over the years. I'm seeing a lot of names that don't sound like American names. Now, I'm not here to disparage my Caribbean and African brothers. I ain't saying that, oh, all y'all are bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that when you put somebody who's as the head of an organization that does not have a tie or reverence for the history of that organization, then the likelihood of them coming in and misappropriating funds grows exponentially. You know what I mean? And I'm not letting our people off the hook either, because there's some Black Americans that came out of those organizations that once they got into the head seat, they're stealing. So I'm holding all of them accountable. The HBCUs are ran badly. The money is mismanaged. There's a reoccurring theme with children that go to HBCUs, my daughter included. The dorms are terrible. The dorms be rat infested or run down. There's stuff broken in the dorm rooms. The food is terrible. Financial aid office is no help for them. This as majority of your kids that go to the HBCU, they got the same story. But I'm looking at the PWI counterparts, even on a small level, they're not having those same problems. So what are you doing with the money that you can't hide? As Ed Reed said, it's trash everywhere. In the buildings, it's trash. They got whole buildings stored up with trash. You can't hire a janitorial service. That's a fairly small amount of money. I'm pretty sure you can find resources for that. If you can't, then let's do a forensic audit of what you're doing with all this money that the federal government is giving you. And corporations, because it's not just the federal government that run that finance HBCU. A lot of them get corporate money too. A lot of corporate money because they have a way of shaming corporations into contributing. So if we can't account for it, I think there need to be a public accounting. That means open the books and let everybody see what's been going on the past 30 to 40 years in your HBCU to put you in the financial straits that you're in now. Because by and large, when minorities get money from the federal government for their college systems, we take the bulk share of that. Ain't a whole lot of Indian schools and Jewish schools and Hispanic schools. They tend to go to mostly white schools. We're the only people that a good segment of our population goes to our own schools. We're not the only one. I don't know to say that different. The majority of us do. But when those schools don't serve us, we start looking at, okay, what are we going to do to fix it? And there's a tendency with a lot of our people to romanticize this. Don't talk about the HBCU. Don't say it. Don't say it out in public. Other people can hear it. Let them hear it. They need to be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed that you have a trash-filled building. You should be embarrassed that the coaches have to come in and get facilities that should be standard there. You should be embarrassed. You're an embarrassment to the Black society. And that's not just them. I look at all our legacy organizations in the Black community. When you no longer serve the needs of Black people, either you need to fix it or we burn the motherfucker down. Bottom line. Because this is an embarrassment right here on the public stage, and it needs to happen. I hope more of them come in and put it on Front Street. The only regret I had about Ed Reed's rant was that you didn't name names. You should have told us who exactly stealing the money. That's my take on it.
Now I'm allowed to.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to catch them point by point, but now I got to try to respond to everything, right?
Go ahead, bro.
When you and the narrator, I feel like y'all are tag teaming me, but I'll let it be. Anyway, all right, let's go back to my first question is, I don't disagree with all the things that you say as far as mismanagement, as far as other things. I'm a firm believer. If you dig into some of these other schools like Liberty and some of these other PWI small schools that have some BS going on that charges exorbitant tuition, there's a problem. Okay. Now, I will say this. The majority of these HBCUs do take, the reason why I don't say burn these universities down is because not every child can go and get that 1,200, 1,400 that it used to be, that in some cases is almost required. All right. You know what I'm saying? But what they do is they find a way to get some of those kids in school. Now,
They can go to a junior college. So college.
Hold on. Whoa, Tony. Whoa. Now being that it sounds pretty to say go to a JUCO, but let me explain something to you. If you're there, it depends. If you're about sports or whatever, maybe JUCO, right? If we're gonna just in the terms of sports, you have to pick and choose your JUCOs. And also, there's only so many, and a lot of these JUCOs, these kids can't get into because, quote unquote, I hate to tell you this, certain the JUCOs that you want to get into that you're looking for, especially those ones that we all hear about in Mississippi, Hines, and there's a few more over there in Mississippi. They're only taking a certain caliber of athlete when you call the sports. Now, let's be honest. Just because it's a JUCO don't mean that there's a level of recruitment that goes on in tier athlete. All right. There's this place in Georgia called Georgia Military. I guarantee you gonna find out that what's in Georgia Military is a whole different animal. But what I wanted to get to was, all right, like I said, I'm with you on Ed Reed. I felt, yes, he spoke his mind. I have no problem with that. But I do have a sticking point with you, Tone, in the words you said. Yes, they're millionaires. Yes, they're this, they're that, the third. But do not think that the reason why these guys are coming to these HBCUs is not a mutually beneficial thing. At his best, love Ed Reed. He is probably one of my top 5 all-time favorite NFL players, and I think if he's ever given the opportunity, he's gonna be a coach on the level of some of the greats, just because watching him play the game and watching him talk the game tells me his vision of the game is on par with very few can even outthink him as the game goes. However, you know why Bethune also became attractive to him?
Can I answer that one?
Go for it.
Because the University of Miami, where he played at, didn't hire his ass as a head coach.
And there go lies with all the broken shit in these universities. They still afford opportunities that other places won't. So when I say, we need, yes, you're right. Who wants to eat a meal out of a roach infested, rat infested? Well, we need to go in there and try to fix the kitchen or build a new kitchen next to the one we got. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm with that, but there has to be a willingness in Black society.
There has to be a willingness. Yes, I don't agree. I don't disagree. Yes, there has to be a willingness to fix the problem.
Us not talking about it. Us telling people don't get on TV and put our family business out there, because that's the narrative that's been put out there. Ed Reed put us on blast for that. You need to be put on blast for that, because you're not gonna fix it on your own. Because if you had intentions on fixing it, you'd have done it already. So
don't disagree
on fixing it. Sometimes you have to embarrass somebody to fix a problem.
I don't disagree. I'm a firm believer if you publicly disrespect, you publicly get addressed. No problem. However, but I do now. But I will. I want to be very understood that the Coach Primes and the Ed Reeds, when they couldn't get the job, when they did more than prove themselves to these PWIs that they're qualified for these positions or for their knowledge is on par with everything, they still weren't quote good enough. They had to go. They had to come back here to prove themselves. Now, and as far as and honestly, I think with Ed Reed, um, that one hurt me more than Prime because I believe Bethune made a mistake in breaking down in the negotiations with him because they got their feelings hurt. And now I am
Yeah.
a firm believer of this. Feelings are just bullshit. They're emotions. And honestly, what your emotion is today is not going to be your emotions tomorrow. And even and I get it. Your pride's hurt. You're administrator. You're at this school. This man that you're trying to bring in as your employee, basically telling you that you ain't shit. I understand that, but a lot of times there's truth into a lot of people's frustration, even whether it's with your woman, your man, or whatever you are. When they go off, sometimes you got it. Sometimes you don't want to deal with the way they go off, but there's usually some truth that you have to look at yourself and say, "Yeah, I need to fix that." And you continue on with that relationship. That goes with friend
That's all I'm
relationships.
advocating for.
That goes with friend relationships and all other relationships. Now,
But hold on,
yeah,
Corey.
I think I
I'm not.
go
I'm
ahead.
not. I'm
Wait a
not
goddamn minute,
I'm
Tony.
not
You
Mr. Tear
went
down
on
the
5
organization.
minutes straight. Now you cutting me off.
Go ahead, bro.
Corey, we lost you. Corey.
Yeah, I said go ahead, Tony. I mean, I'm in the bad spot. Go ahead, Tone.
All right. So my stance on it is I'm not saying dismantle the whole organization of the whole HBCU system. That's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for us to fix the system. But by fixing it, we have to be honest about the problems. Ed Reed uh, exposed the problem in the institution. And what's the first thing that they did? They got rid of him because these HBCUs don't want that kind of shine on them. Well, if you don't want people to call out your problems, fix the problems.
Totally agree, Tone. And I will tell you this. And I heard something recently that said basically you learn. It was basically easy way that easy way I'm gonna break it down to. If you wait for things to be good to be happy, you're never gonna be happy. Meaning, there's always gonna be hard times, and if you keep waiting for the easy times, you're never gonna be happy. In other words, look, take it. It is what it is. Now let's move forward.
Well,
Does I get because what you're gonna get is I already know you're gonna get all the excuses. Well, y'all do know we realize the state of Florida had a big ass hurricane, blah blah blah. Got you. But either way, all I'm saying is with all that going on, you're gonna have to rip up your sleeve. And also, if you're gonna bring me in and quote unquote as a coach, as a person that I gotta go sell this university, regardless of what you going through with this university, I need something to sell. I know because I was an athlete. I got recruited. I was one of those generational type talents. And you want me to bring these in here? This shit right here, I can't bring this in here because it's gonna be hard for me to sell this. So yes, it hurts. So we both got to get to but as long as I point out and I'm willing to be here and work with you to for solutions, get over the feelings.
and
Okay.
I think that's the point that he was at.
Okay.
Oh,
Is
I
that
I,
the
I, I totally
organization,
agree.
the
I
Well,
totally
well,
agree.
organizations, your Jackson
well,
States, your Bethune Cookmans, they love the publicity and all the eyes and extra revenue that having these head coaches brings to them. But they don't like the criticism that the head coaches levy on them, and it's rightful criticism.
okay. Well, I got. Let's say this too, though, and it's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? And we have to at least look at this. What about was there a better way that Ed Reed could have expressed all this stuff?
All right, here's the only problem with that, Tyrone, is most people. I'm sorry, Mr. 411.
No, you good.
Most people, when they look at things, they look at it from their perspective, right? Now, and also you got to pay attention. Most people always assume that because Ed Reed, if you really think about it, he's kind of a low key type brother. You don't really hear him
Yeah.
rah rah, right.
Hmm. Yeah.
However, what I've always known about the guy and what I've always known about the brother is you stick your finger in your hand, you stick your finger in his face, he'll break that bitch. In other
Okay.
words, because just because he's mild mannered, everything he did is par for the course of who he is. And then in a lot of ways, when you compare him to Dion, Dion is a more diplomatical person of the two. Ed Reed is not a diplomatical type fella. And honestly,
Okay.
to get where these programs need to be, that's the type of guy you gotta have. Because on the
Okay. But
same
yeah,
token, hold on.
Corey,
On the same
Corey, no,
token,
hold on, because you didn't answer the question. Was there a better way that Ed Reed could have expressed himself? I don't have a problem with. I want Ed Reed to be there, and we'll get into that in a minute. I still want him to be the coach there. I want them to get together and find a way to make this work because he's got a lot of things that we're going to talk about in a minute in place.
yes,
But I'm just saying, just looking at it from the other side of things, because I don't know any other head coach that is speaking publicly in that manner. But that's like if you go to work and you see something you don't like at your job, are you going to talk that way? Or are you going to get the same point in saying it in a different manner? Now you can talk that way behind the scenes, but I'm referring to him doing this publicly. The way he's addressing things, the language, the tone, and so on and so forth. I'm just asking you guys: could that have
you're
been
talking.
done a
Hold on.
different way? And
You're
maybe he's
you're
still there.
asking you're asking somebody when they
Yep.
when they when they when they when they when a VP came to the office and had a conversation with us
Uh-huh.
about something that I done and it was so quote wonderful, whatever. And she asked the question. She's like, you act like you don't really trust me. I said I don't because every time y'all come in here, y'all pat us on the back and have a knife in your hand.
Very good
Did he?
analogy. Very
Is there a
good
better
analogy.
way of announcing it? I'm a firm believer if you stick to who your narrative is. Now, I guarantee you, we're only getting parts of the conversation, and I guarantee you for him to come out like that and for him to state the facts as they were, for him to come out the way he came out, there was obviously a conversation with someone, right? Because I'm pretty sure you don't just go on your live frustrated and be like, why don't y'all clean this shit up? Or why? Oh, no, this is the problem. We can't get this, this, and this if you've not had a conversation. He probably had a conversation with someone, and they gave him all the excuses and no results that were adequate for him.
I
Real
guarantee you.
disagree.
I
But
guarantee he did the
but
same
how
thing that I did. He said, "Where is the money for custodial staffs that's every school should have to make sure these facilities are clean?" Because we harping on the trash. It's a bigger picture of
mhm.
he said it's stealing going on. He expressly said that more than once.
Okay, and we're gonna get to that too. But I guess I'm still waiting on an answer about how he was talking, the cursing, the yelling,
Well, we don't
the
know that.
carrying on. Like, because how many other coaches do that? How many coaches
Okay, okay, okay. So what you're
have
asking,
done
Hold
what
you're
he
on, hold
asking.
did?
on, hold on. Just like Coy just expressed, and I agree with him on this point.
Uh-huh.
It was more than likely. It was probably. He said it was a conversation. I say it was probably more than one conversation about it behind closed doors, and they expressed in whatever way that they had an unwillingness to resolve the issue. So if you don't want to resolve the issue, well, let me just try this another way.
Okay.
And like he said, well, that's his personality.
I
Dion was
get
more.
okay,
Dion was a little more
okay.
diplomatic about it. Yes,
I
but
guarantee you, we fought.
sometimes,
Okay, no,
hold on. Sometimes when we're talking amongst family, and I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to be respectful to you, and whatever, and you still showing unwillingness to see my side or to see what I'm saying, or to even acknowledge the problem. Well, let me talk to you in a way that I know you're gonna understand, and that's what he did. He said it in a way that you can't duck, dodge, or sidestep this issue. Now I'm putting it directly at your feet. And what did the
now
administration decide to do? Fight.
I think what Mr. 411 saying is, could he have been more diplomatically in the conversation when he had it? Hmm. I'm gonna say this like this, Tone, and Mr. 411. This is something that I've noticed in a PWI world, right?
Okay.
We found out recently why. If you ever notice when you talk to Kirby Smart on TV and publicly, why the conversations are so short or they're so dry. Have you not figured out why now?
Why?
Look at his pregame speeches. Look at when you let him go and you want him to be the football coach he is. Look at what you see. Did you not get those leaked pregame speeches? Did you
Yeah.
watch any of those?
Yeah. I see him.
Totally different than the public. Now, understand that's somebody that's been a coach for 20 plus years, right?
Right.
Okay, and he still has to for deference because he can't turn it on and off. Behave, cut down on what he says when he goes public, and cut down the amount of public because we don't really get a lot of. We get the mandatory because Kirby's the national championship head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs, but we don't get a lot of Kirby as far as media because you don't see Kirby in a lot of commercials. You don't see a lot of other things because of what he is. It's a whole different animal. Now, this is and Ed. We're gonna go jump back to Ed Reed. This is Ed Reed, 5 6 years post football. One, two, his personality is what he is, and he's a man in his early 40s, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he's highly passionate about what he's passionate about.
Yeah.
And so when it's not going the way he wants to, he's gonna let it fly. Whether right or wrong, he's gonna let it fly. I
Right.
totally agree with you. He was even with that being said, it would have been a better narrative and it would probably worked out better long term if he came and if they figure out a way to meet a common ground and hire that man as their coach. Also, now that they've both been put on blast, he has a more vested interest in that university
Mm-hmm.
per se because of that moment that he had about that university, right?
Definitely.
Okay, because the first thing narrative will be is, oh, you're gonna come shit on this university. You're gonna abandon these people when you've already said they need all this help. You're no like nobody else. You're the whole pull your pants up and then go into inside your office type cat.
But
See what I'm
he
saying?
expressly said that he's not the one that left. They asked him to leave. They did not want him. They did not want to go forward with his contract.
Yeah, and I
Let's be
think
clear about something. Hold on. I want to kind of circle back
What it
to.
boils down to is
Hold on,
they,
Corey. I want to circle back to something that Miss 411 said. Is there a better way? We have to stop acting like people expressing themselves has you clutching your pearls. Because in black society, he talk the way we talk. He felt like he was talking to black people. This is a
Mhm.
all right.
black university. It was
Hold
just
on. Time.
hold
Well,
on.
go ahead, Tom. Finish it. Go
I
ahead.
mean, don't act like that you ain't heard talk like this before. Get
I will
past the
say,
cursing and look at the substance of what he said. Because what
okay.
he said was not a lie at all. And I'd
See,
rather address what was said than how
okay.
he said it.
I got you, Tony. But I'm gonna say this. See, you just won't let us get on the same page, will you? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, high temper. That is totally true. But I was
Yep.
also saying, this black man decided you come in my house talking bullshit and calling my house trash. I'm liable to throw your ass up out of there. Because at the end of the day, it is my house, and you ain't a resident here yet. So I
and,
do understand. I do,
and
like I
that ain't
said,
gonna stop
you,
your house from being trash.
no, it ain't. But guess what? It's my trashy ass house. So I do understand. That's why I say get out of your feelings. Everybody has to get out their feelings about the situation and address it. I may throw your ass out here and start washing dishes, but you ain't finna come in my house and trash me. However,
I think
that
the man.
being
I think.
said, hold on. That
Go
being
ahead.
said, when you come back to my house and I took care of what I need to take care of, I want his stuff from you. That's how I deal with the situation. You see what I'm saying?
And I will say this: if I come in your house and your house is trash, and I immediately start picking up the trash and making the improvements to your house that you should have made, but I'm talking shit the whole time I'm doing it, I'm still doing it.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm still
We
actively
I
we're on the
totally
trying to
same
agree.
fix
page
the
with that
issue.
part.
I
All
totally
I'm
agree
saying
with you
is
on that.
all I'm saying is that Ed Reed provided an opening for them not to move forward. Right or wrong, the way he did it is where I can see where Bethune Cookman University is using that as their out. We are all on the same page about
I'm glad you
the
said the
school needs
word.
to do
They're
certain
using it
things.
as their
Yeah,
out. I'm
I
glad
Yeah,
agree
you.
with that 100%.
yeah. And I just wish that wasn't what happened. I mean, I want Ed Reed there. I want them to figure out a way to get this done. Because as he mentioned, Shaquille O'Neal is involved and many others, Edrin James. And if you all don't know who those gentlemen are, you can Google them. But they're professional athletes, and there's millions of dollars that these gentlemen and others are going to be putting in to Bethune Cookman. That's going to go to upgrading facilities. And Ed Reed has this in place. He has 20, I think, is what 26 recruits that are already there. They're ready to move in and play for this and play for the school. Like there's a lot of things that are going forward. He is a great example of a black man leading uh young black adults and he's having them say yes sir and things like that and picking up trash, doing the things that we need to be taught as far as being leaders. And so I believe he needs to be there. You know what I'm saying? I just it's disappointing, it's sad that this is turned out to be this way right now. And this is even before he even got a contract. You know what I'm saying? It's like, did they really even have a conversation? Like, did
But
they really get down and really sit down and talk before any of this?
now
It just all it feels kind of weird.
can we address the elephant in the room?
Absolutely.
Because the man threw out an allegation that even Dion insinuated. Ed
Hmm.
Reed outright said it. They steal it. That's the part that out of all that was said, that's the part that flashed in my brain as the most important part. And when you Google, do a quick Google search of
Okay.
Bethune Cookman's financial situation. You'll see they've been in dire straits now for like 10 years. And when you look at every article that I read on it, they said, some bad investments, bad investments. Well, who's making these bad investments? And why does it continue to happen? Because you
Hmm.
went through 8 presidents. So you're saying
Mm.
7 different individuals made bad investments for the school.
Mm.
Well, I'm looking at the board of trustees now. Where you hired them?
And what did you say again? You said Google what now? Bethune Cookman
Financial. What did I do? Google?
financial
Just
problems. That's what you said.
yeah, financial
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of articles about it, but they don't elaborate on what the financial issues are.
Hmm.
That's what sticks to me. And when this man comes out and says they steal it, and you don't address what the financials is in none of your public statements, that leaves credence to what he said. You are stealing. Somebody in that organization, somebody in that school is stealing. And it's what it looks like, what you're going through so many presidents, is that as each one found out who's stealing, that board of trustees got them up out of there. So, and I dare to say this is a systemic problem throughout the HBCU system. They may be in the PWI schools as well, but I don't deal with that. I'm dealing with the HBCUs only. I don't care what white people do with their schools. They want to steal them blind, that's their business. But this is our business. We all have a vested interest in this. We all have a vested interest in the success of our HBCU system that's been in place over 100 years. So when you have individuals that either sitting on that board or sitting in the president's seat that are misappropriating funds that should be going for our children, that's a problem to me. I take express issue with that, because you're stealing from our future. I don't want my child. I'm not sending my child to a don't. Look here, up at Howard and Hampton, them kids. Which one was it, Coy? Because you be knowing that. It was either Howard or Hampton. One of those schools. The kids were sleeping outside in tents because the dorm rooms were so bad, mold infested, rat infested. This is what you sending your kids to. And nobody want to talk about it. Everybody want to just gloss it under the rug. Don't talk about HBCU. Talk about them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because that's the only way we're going to fix this bullshit. Is to talk about it and come to solutions. And sometimes the solution is get rid of who's in charge. But see, those in charge, they know that they the problem. So whenever somebody gets to talking about it, they shy away from it. They want to get rid of them. That's been, Ed Reed is not the only one that said that. Dion is not the only one that said that. Dr. Randy Short, he was a 30-year professor in the HBCU system. I want to say Hampton. He said exactly the same thing. The comedian Chico Bean, he comes out of an HBCU. He even said, oh yeah, he ain't lying about that. Dorms trash, this trash. Financial aid sucks. They always losing paperwork, or there's no financial aid available for you. I refuse to believe that all this money that you get in, and y'all can't clean up, y'all can't fix facilities. Well, Mr. President, Mr. Trustees, what are you getting paid at? Maybe we need to pay you less if it means that we can get some of this stuff taken care of. Maybe you need to take a pay cut instead of asking these head coaches to take a pay cut, because they putting their money back into the school. Are those in charge? Are y'all doing the same thing? Are y'all putting y'all money back in school? I doubt it. So let's talk about that when we talk about the HBCU system. Because let's be clear, these sports, the football program alone can bring revenue into the school. If you let these former players as head coaches run the programs like how they need to be ran.
Yeah.
That's going to benefit the school as a whole. You're going to get money back from that. There's going to be financial windfall from that.
Mm-hmm.
You keep kicking them out. You keep running them off. So we got to address that, and we can't shy away from that just because they make us look bad in front of white folks. So fucking what? You need to look bad because what you're doing is shameful. It's an insult to all black people, especially those who sacrifice for you to have these institutions. And I, for one, I wouldn't sit there and allow this to keep going on. I will put my foot on the gas every single time something like this happens with HBCU. Until you fix the problem, I'm gonna put my foot on your neck. Every platform that I get on, I'm gonna address you and I'm gonna call you out for the theft. But that's just my take on it.
Oh, it's hey, well stated, man. There's a lot of problems from the inside, and in order for this to get done long term, we gotta fix those things. And man, I just kind of wish Dion was still there. Not nothing against TC Taylor, who's the current coach there, because he's going to do great things at Jackson State, and he's already doing that. Bringing in a lot of recruits. He even got a 4-star coming in from Oregon and so on and so forth, and some top JUCOs in Mississippi coming. But just the instant impact that Dion brings, the way that he can, say something, voice something to companies, and they're going to come running. That him being involved, even if it wasn't at Jackson State, maybe another HBCU, that would be good. Ed Reed, he needs to be here. That's a man of influence as well. He's getting the big the people that we talked about before to,
Mhm.
to donate their money, their millions into programs. And another thing that Ed Reed did say, on when he was talking to students on the way out, he was like, Bethune is one school that he's going to help. He's going to help there first, is what I heard him saying. So he already was thinking ahead. And that's something that was very encouraging to me, is that he wasn't going to just stop there. That was just his first stop. And man, for this to happen, man, it's rough, man. I'll let you know this. I did send him a message every, and I asked him. He may respond, he may not. But I was like, hey, where's your next stop going to be?
I think
Is it going to be another HBCU? Not don't let one deter you from helping another HBCU. Don't let a situation that may not quite worked out at this spot, because there's other spots that may handle it differently and may learn from this. What do you think about that?
I would love to see him come on a platform like this and speak freely about his experience at Bethune-Cookman. I would love to see him go to another HBCU and institute what he was trying to build, the program he was trying to build. But what a fear of mine is that if he goes somewhere else, it's likely going to be the same type of pushback. They're going to put something in there to kind of muzzle him to where he can't speak on the inner workings of what's going on behind the scenes at the HBCU. If that is the case, if that does become the outcome, then I would encourage him to come on some of these smaller platforms. Don't go take it to an ESPN. Take it directly to your people.
Right.
Come on platforms like this
Mm-hmm.
and name names. Tell us, don't just say they're stealing from us. They're stealing from your children. Tell us exactly how they're doing it. That way, that put the onus on them. So now, when we throw out these allegations that y'all stealing, we got proof that you're stealing, and who's culpable for it. And then that makes it easily identifiable to fix the problems. That's the only issue I have with what he said. I regret the fact that he didn't name names, but I appreciate the fact that he did bring a light to it. Because I'm interested in. I want to see my HBCU system succeed. I want to see y'all be on the same level as the PWI, because I think we in a great opportunity with having our own football programs, our own athletic programs at a HBCU to parlay that into us eventually having our own leagues with the more recent rule changes.
Yeah.
I could see that becoming a pseudo league of its own.
Hey man, it can be. And with that point right there, let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. Because if you go back to 1978, the NCAA has, we'll fast forward real quick let's just fast forward to what you see now, right? You have like the Alabamas, the Floridas, and UCLA's and all those schools, right? Those type of schools back then, they were working on a plan to separate themselves from smaller schools, from HBCUs, from smaller PWI schools, and basically gave a short time frame for schools to decide whether they're going to go up with them or they're going to stay where they at. Because these schools were trying to separate themselves so they can have a full autonomy on how they want to run things, with bowl games and so on and so forth, and splitting revenue and doing all these things. And they put a lot of rules in place. You gotta have X amount of sports. You gotta have X amount of female sports. You gotta have this. You gotta have a certain size stadium. If it ain't this size, you gotta get it up to par. All this stuff, and you gotta make a decision if you're gonna do these things. And basically, what they accomplished was that they were gonna build themselves and be separate. And you fast forward to today, that's why you have FBS and FCS. And so FBS has more scholarships available than FCS, and so on and so forth. So yes, I think that what you're saying would be great, because HBCUs can form their own league, separate and form your own league, and then build your revenue and all that kind of stuff, and get all the donors and people to be on board with it. And it would be something that could be very beneficial. I guess my thing to that is, and we'll get Coy back on here too, is do you believe that will happen?
Will it happen? It's hard to say. I think it can happen, and I think we're in a time like none other, where basically student athletes can get paid for being the athletes that they are. So this creates a big opportunity because there's a lot of gray area that has not been addressed. And if done right, it can be exploited to our advantage. But with the current administrations, do I think it can be done? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to have a willingness from the board of trustees, the school president, and former alumni, because the alumni, you're not off the hook either. And it's gonna have to be a collective effort to say this is the move that we're finna make. We're finna make a paradigm shift that has never been done before. But the end result is gonna be we're gonna create black wealth out of this. We're gonna self-fund our schools after we create these deals and put them in place. We're gonna be in a position where we don't have to beg for outside money. We're gonna be on par with the larger PWI schools. But it has to be a collective effort. It has to be done. And that willingness has to be there, knowing that if we put this emphasis on the sports side, it'll benefit the education side. It'll
Yeah.
benefit those that's coming in trying to be those engineers and doctors of the
Hold on,
future.
I'm gonna hit mute. All right.
Right?
Go
It's
ahead,
gonna,
Tuck.
it's gonna benefit all those guys because we're gonna have the resources to be able to funnel a lot of that money back into those programs as well. Same way that white schools do. They
Yeah.
do the same thing. Their sports funds most of these schools.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish Corey would once Corey gets settled, he can talk about that because I know that for years, he was saying that um, the emphasis is not that direction when it comes to the HBCUs. You know, saying they don't put that up near the top,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a bad idea. Not is not saying that that the sports is the most important thing. No, education is, but the sports is the gateway in. That's how a lot of people become fans of teams. You know, somebody's a fan of the Miami Hurricanes, not because they went to that school or anything. Probably never even seen the school in their life, but they're the fan of that school because they love that team at the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And players and so on and so forth. So
Boy,
you
say
know,
everybody loves a winner.
yeah. And so
And
that's what we need to. I believe that, man. If we could do that, that would be something fantastic. It will take time, and it will take. You're gonna have people that's not gonna be on board with it. I'm talking about just everyday people like us. They may not, like it. They may not value it right now. They might think it's not even worth their time. But we have to do it. So you got to keep pushing. And eventually, you'll get layers of people that will buy into it. You have layers of people that will see this as the norm. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of generation of people, they don't even know that HBCU teams used to be dominant type football teams. They
exactly.
don't even know that. They only know that, you know, Mississippi State was a great football team or Notre Dame or something. They don't even know that, a team like Florida A&M won the 1AA tournament. You know what I'm saying? Back in those days. Or Grambling has the most NFL Hall of Famers in the history of the NFL. It comes from Grambling. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason for that. So, a lot of people don't even know or even realize that. And so that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? We've all been conditioned a certain way over
Right.
years.
Hey, Corey, I think Corey's back. He hit
All
me.
right. That's good. Okay. Because I talked enough to get him back.
But as soon as he jump in, I'm a mute and let him get his point across. But I mean, we're sitting at a time where technology is leveling the playing field. There's no need for the HBCU system to be under a TV deal under ESPN. When you can do steps like create your own app, which is apparently relatively cheap to do,
Yeah.
to where you have enough teams to run sports 24/7 on your own network and financed by charging us a small subscription fee. All of that is money back to the school. The money that you put out to create it will pale in comparison to the money that you should generate, because once those teams are highlighted, once people start saying, hey, I like this team, hey, I like this team, that opens you up to not only sell merchandise,
Yep.
jerseys,
Letterman jackets, all kind of things. We have we tend to think small when we're thinking about these things, but it's a lot that comes with that. So you're looking at an investment. Okay, the school might have to the system, not just the school, all the schools might have to come up with, let's say, $5 million between all your HBCUs. That's a small price to pay per school to have your game showed exclusively on your network, to where people that push the onus back on the people. Y'all say y'all want HBCU sports. We got it over here 24/7. Basketball season come up, we got you on that. We got baseball teams, we got swimming teams, we got volleyball teams. We can run a 24-hour sports network just off our black college system. It's enough content there to do it. That's the line of thinking you have to have. You can pay your student athletes now. Pay them a living stipend.
Whoa. No, you cannot pay your student athletes.
Okay, well, I backtrack that. Go ahead.
We're gonna get the HBCU broken down. NILs are basically, how can I put it? NILs are basically private businesses, quote, that back players. They're like sponsorships, right?
Yeah. Well, Corey, we can do that. We get that part. So go back. What I was telling people that we was waiting on you to come back on was talk about how the mindset of PWIs towards having their football team lead the way versus HBCUs.
Oh, okay.
Not wanting football to lead the way.
Okay. One thing you'll notice is when you talk about PWIs, well, let's break this down into different okay, when you talk about Power 5 football and basketball particularly, you're more likely to know the name of the head football coach versus the name of the president. More times than not, when you deal with HBCUs, you're more likely to know the name of the president versus the head football coach. Which means that, in what I always say is, yes, football is important to say us, right? The sports is important to say us, but when you get into the world of intellectuals arenas, football is way down on the bottom of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Tony made a good point that maybe if you think about it and you look at it from the right perspective, you can understand the monetized nation of being able to get money out of the football team. Also, can't speak for some reason. Well, can't speak most days, but of actually having a foundation in a sport. I don't think they see the value in it because it comes down to what your point of view is. A lot of times, if you don't see if you don't see the value, it's just the same. It's the same thing where people always throw up. You get paid millions and millions of dollars to play a football game, to play a game. Is that not what they say about professional athletes?
That is what they say.
And people, and that's their big gripe, right? Why do they get all this money? Why they do this, right?
Yep.
I'll take Coy. I'm not going to pick on the average person, but does Coy, by the aspect of Coy getting up and going doing something every day, how many other people have to get up and do something the other day, every day? Meaning, when Coy goes to work, at best, in his daily process of him doing his job, I don't generate no more jobs to support my job. As a whole, yes. But when a professional athlete goes to work on a Sunday and play a sport, and we all watch, the cameraman has job, the producer have job, the guy that moves the equipment into the stadium to take the camera, to move the cameras from the station, the people that sell hot dogs, the people who make the hot dogs, the people who clean up the facility, the people who work on heating and air, and blah 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 blah. Right? So it's not just we paid them a whole bunch of money to play a game, but the intellectuals see it as that. So if you're the president of a school and you have a football team that is very good and is selling out the stadium, one, in that community that you're at, you got to have somebody to maintain that stadium and everything that goes along with it. That's a job, right?
Yes, sir.
And also because that job is there, you now have someone that's going to actually increases the economics and the money into that particular community, which means you may be able to get a couple more students from that community because there are people there that can spend money to send their kids to school, all because you had a really good ass football team, and now they have a skill or a talent that they have an opportunity to be able to
Mm,
afford your school.
yep.
But instead of that side of the house looking at it, I don't understand. It's just a game. It's not just a game. It's just like anything else in this world. It's part of your economy. It just so happened that they can do something that you can't do, which is one of the biggest fallacies on why a lot of people get mad at people that make a whole bunch of money. They can do something you can't do. I don't see the point. It's recreation. They're having fun. Hell, I know people that come to work every day, sing all day, doing their job.
All right. Well, there it is. That's part of the way to get things done is change the mindset. And in order to do that, you got to get people in place with that kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The
Number
only
two.
way, the only way to change this, well, one of the main ways to change this is what you're doing right now with platforms like these that put that spotlight, put the onus back on the HBCU to say, this is how you can make money with this. And we're going to keep demanding it until you acquiesce because what you're doing does not work. Having to go to the federal government every couple of years and beg hat in hand for some more money is not a sustainable business model. But guess what? Basing your economy of your school off of your athletics is a sustainable economy. We know it works because we see it work every year
Yep.
in PWI schools.
No,
What
whoa,
broke
whoa,
is
whoa,
that
whoa, 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 whoa. Well, let's pause that a second. For the
Cause what?
ones that are successful at it,
for the ones that
understand
is okay.
now, and I want you to understand. I mean, I want because
But that's what we're getting
that,
at. The
yeah,
success.
yeah,
You're going to
that's what
be
I'm saying.
successful.
But I don't want it to make it seem like that. I don't want it to come across that we're saying or that I'm well particular. I can't speak for anybody else but me. That I'm saying it's not just about the football. That's one aspect. But what I'm saying is there's more ways. There's more ways to look at what's going on your campus. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm basically saying is look at the resources that you have on hand, which are those
Mhm.
student athletes, which is that athletic program that requires you not to go outside the house. You can build your economic status for your school
I don't,
based
and
off of
no,
what you
no, no,
have
no,
in
no, no,
place
no,
now.
no, no. I'm going to
Yes,
stop you there because I don't want to build nothing off the backs of our children. That's it. You're turning those kids into a
But that's
no.
what.
What I'm telling, what I
But
know, what I'm saying.
that's what schools are doing.
Well,
yes, all
because and
schools
guess
do
what?
this.
Oh, what? So what if people have slaves? That don't mean you need any.
That is not making the children into slaves. They
No. So
become
They,
what I'm saying.
they're
they,
Listen.
going to play
Follow
they're
what I'm
playing
gonna say.
football
Listen.
anyway,
Yeah,
Corey.
whether
you
they
two,
wear
you two,
white.
you two, take a breath and listen. What I'm saying
All
is,
three of us.
listen to what I'm saying. Okay. When I hear it that way, you're pimping the kids just like everybody else. I'm saying what you're doing is these kids want to play ball fine. This is what I'm saying. But don't make it because what happened is if you turn it into that direction, you're turning like both of y'all have not dealt with the other side of being a collegiate athlete of all the other things. There's a reason why they tell your child they have a 4 year scholarship, but he signs a new scholarship year to year. Did y'all know that?
Yes, but we can
Yes,
handle that. We can handle these things like what you
No,
about to bring up.
no.
Which,
You're gonna
well,
say no. You're not.
well,
You're gonna tell
hang
me
on
we
one
can
second.
handle these things
Hang on,
once
Corey,
we get
one
everything
second.
going.
Corey, 1 second. What you about to bring up is a thing that we need to put on the table and handle differently than other places are handling it.
yes, we do. We're just taking the model that's in place and working it to where it benefits our children, where it
No
And we
benefits
problem
make
with
both
that part.
HBCU and our children.
No problem with that part. But I have this big thing about us old ass people trying to putting everything on the backs of our youth to fix our damn problems.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say it like this: I prefer to use be the ones to fix the problem because if us old
No,
ass
no, no.
people, if hold on,
yep
Coy, if us old ass people had the answer to the problems,
in
we
the
wouldn't.
first
They wouldn't be problems in the first place.
in the first
Okay.
place.
All right, but I get all that. But I'm gonna tell you like this: that's the youth's choice to fix the problem. What
And
I'm
some of
trying to
our
tell you,
great and
no,
some of our
no,
great people were young at the
not,
time.
Most societies
Martin Luther King
not
was
a problem.
young.
he was
Not
young.
a
He was 34
problem.
years old.
Not a problem. I
Okay,
still say, not a
okay,
problem. I understand that. The ones that want to, they'll get involved. But
gotcha.
when we put a narrative to say, we put a narrative out there that we're gonna put it on y'all to fix some shit that we broke, versus
Uh,
saying, hey, y'all do what y'all got to do to survive, and we'll work on what we done broke. We may not ever fix it, but we need to spend our times as the adults and the old generation fixing what we destroyed, versus saying, oh, we fucked up and let the youth have it.
But
No, 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 no.
that's what we're proposing, Coy.
right.
We're proposing a fix to the problem.
I have
Yeah.
no problem. No, see, y'all don't. I have no
You have an
problem.
issue with the verbiage that was used. Maybe I
Yes,
used
Right.
the wrong verbiage.
But
yes,
but
because
we
Okay,
can
because
get to
I
fixing
acquiesce
that
on that.
later.
But no,
I
We
got
talk
you.
about
But
the
I'm
problem.
y'all can get to fixing whatever. But that right there is something that sticks with me automatically because I came from that plantation.
sound like you trying to be a contrarian to me.
No, I know it's because I came from that. I came to that, and I know. See, like I see, you haven't when you're on these campuses. As much as these kids have autonomy now, it ain't as much as you think it is with these kids on these teams. The only autonomy they have is they can leave to go somewhere else and see if they don't get whooped this back. I'm gonna be honest with you
Right.
because I have to dealt with the 5 a.m. Because I've seen people come in there and they were the next greatest thing. And matter of fact, and the coach realizes you're not going to fit, and you're in your and your scholarship is year to year, and I got to see a reason why we should bring you back next year. Blah blah blah. All the crap that goes along with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
So
Corey, we get
I
that.
got you.
allow
We're
them
not
to
So
we're
go.
so
we're
when you
saying we're
so
gonna
so
not do all that the same way.
Right.
I
You're
got
throwing
you.
out the
And
problem. You're throwing out what they're doing now. We're talking about how to lay it out, and then when you bring something like you just brought to the table,
no,
okay, we're gonna
no,
remix that. We're not gonna
no. I'm
make it
saying,
where
okay. What
you
I'm
get what I'm
saying is,
saying.
I would say this.
You
I hear
talk
what you're saying.
To
I hear
fix
what you're
that.
saying, but when you start with their narrative,
Hold on. Allow
okay,
the students to get their own endorsement to go out there. Okay, if you able to get somebody to sponsor you, you able to get your own
because
endorsement.
you running
It
it
does not
yourself,
conflict with
so
the
you can
NW.
play under your own rules.
Yeah,
That's why I was talking about 1978, how NCAA and how these elitists, these schools that are called the haves, were trying to set things up their way. So what we were talking about is you can use the HBCU brand and run your collegiate league your way, and you don't have to
got
answer to the rules and stuff. So
mhm.
what you're talking about, yes, let's not make those students have to be like they employees or whatever, like you say, like that's a job for them when they go play for this school or whatever. You can set the times, the dates. You can figure out how you're gonna work all that out to where it's a good works in a better way for the player. With somebody like you would be the right person to be in charge of that.
to be
Hell,
fair.
I
I
would
don't
even say this: do it as a profit sharing type thing. Well, we set aside whatever revenue is generated over that because there's gonna be a lot of revenue generated. Set aside the same fund so when these kids graduate from these HBCUs, they can draw into that to start whatever they point in life. They're not coming into the working world with no money. You see what I'm saying?
no.
Why not?
I'll tell you why not. They out there sweating right now. You should pay them right now.
Well, you just went through a whole diatribe of why they can't get paid.
I'm just
Well, you
hey,
can't get it both ways.
I'm on the side of getting them paid. I'm just telling you why they get. No, I didn't go down
Okay.
why they get paid. I said the
Well, well,
NCAA won't
well,
allow
we'll
them to
set
get
it
paid.
up. We'll
Hold
set it
on,
up
hold
where
on,
they
hold
get
on, hold on,
paid.
hold on.
We're
What I'm
gonna
saying.
set it up so they get paid.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
No, what Tony's talking about. Okay, why I had to shut that real quick is what the NCAA is proposing to counter out the NIL and paying their athletes. It's putting their money in a
Of
trust
course.
fund for after they get graduated.
That's
I'm
what
what
I
I'm saying.
just said.
Hold
And
on, hold
quote,
on. You two let me finish. Let me finish.
That's what I
What
just
I,
you
said.
won't let me finish.
Cause y'all keep cutting me off. But okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, guys. We're pulling the Erie right now. All right, go ahead. Let's sit back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that particular model is the NCAA's counter that they're trying to push the narrative because to counter NILs and actually paying their athletes. They're saying, you know, what we'll do is so we'll take the money and put it in custodialship, right?
Hmm.
Until when they graduate or until when they leave the program, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now, I say, me personally, one thing I understand, I get that then their logic is these kids are not intelligent or financial wherewithal to handle money. But I do know this much. The one way to learn how to keep money is constantly losing money.
Okay.
When you make mistakes, you tend to get better the next time around. Number two, um, when somebody when in corporate world, in the real world, when somebody do a job, we don't defer their payment for the most part. You pay them for the job, right? I mean, if I'm gonna pay, if I'm gonna do something for Tony, he's gonna pay me $500, and Tony says, "Well, I'll pay you 4 years from now." Tony's not gonna pay me $500 4 years from now. He's gonna pay me $500 plus the amount of income that I should have generated from that 500. That's not gonna be on the table. All I'm saying is about that particular. That's one of those certain topics are buzzwords and stuff that's always gonna bother me. You got me? Because I know the arguments behind what's going on, and
Well,
I'm counter
And
to a certain
and
side.
we're gonna put you in place, Coy, so that we get that ran the right way.
because I'm saying, however you pay them. If you want to pay them now, fine. If you want to pay them 4 years from now and give them compound interest on that money that is generated, fine. Pay them is the bottom line. I'm not arguing the fact that you're basically arguing the fact of how and when they should get paid. Can we agree that they should be paid?
Yes, yes, yes,
That's all
totally.
I'm saying. That is
Well, I
all
hope.
I'm saying. We can work out the way that they're going to be paid. We can work out a way that's fair amongst us. But what we're talking about is instituting a program to where it benefits the HBCUs and it benefits the student athletes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that's what we're getting at. And I like this conversation. This kind of conversation that need to be had. And this is how you can get it done. I hope Bethune Cookman and Ed Reed sit down and talk like this and get something done. Uh, just to throw this out there, I mean, you probably see it on the screen, but that was the statement from Bethune Cookman right there. It's been up for a while, so those who've been watching, you had time to read it. Also, there was a statement that Ed Reed had, and it was posted on the screen as well. So just feel free to take a look at that when you have time. You always can come back and watch this show, rewind it. We have been on for a while today, but it's necessary because we have to find times to we all can get together and have this kind of conversation. We have a lot of these off the cuff, but we wanted to make sure we had something out here where people can actually sit back and and see it, because seeing is believing, and
We
so we
ready to run
want.
your final topic?
Well, before we do that, right? Let me throw this out here. All right, so mindset. So what we were just talking about there, if you think about it, that's a mindset. A lot of people don't talk about that. We rather just go with whatever's going on now, because that's the easier way to do things. But think back, and we were talking about foreshadowing, right? Things that we're doing now, this will be projected out. It may not even benefit the people that's on this show right now, but it's going to benefit the people that come behind them. And so if you go back to 1921, Chicago Bears, right? They were nobody, you know. Football, NFL wasn't even popular back then when this happened. But look at how much it cost to purchase that team, $100. Now that equates to today to about like I think it's 1600 or something like that. So just imagine if you invested that kind of money, and now look at how it's worth, how much the Bears are worth today, almost 100 years later.
That's basically comes down to a fundamental thing. You bet on yourself, and there's nothing, and there's never, and at the end of the day, when you bet on yourself, there's only rewards.
Yep. So they basically did $16,000 in our kind of, $1,600 in our kind of money, uh, to 5.8 billion. Come on now. So what we're thinking here is like you got to plant the seeds now, but it's going to benefit generations of people later. And so that's the kind of mindset we was talking are into right now, and hopefully we can spread that out to many others. All right, Corey. You said topic. One more topic.
Hmm.
All right, help me out.
Dana White.
Oh,
Oh,
Dana
I've been
White.
waiting on this one.
Uh-oh. Okay,
I've
guys.
been waiting on this one.
This is red meat for you two.
Woo. I'm gonna pull you now, Coy. So I'm gonna get back to my natural job as the moderator. But yeah, Dana White, UFC, um, is what? Let me go ahead and just pass the hot tub because I know he's ready. Go ahead, Tub. Dana White.
Where is the media outrage? Where is the vitriol that our black athletes get for the same offenses? Where's all of that at? Why is the corporate media basically covering for Dana White and sweeping this whole issue under the rug? Because a lot of people forget this is not Dana White's first run-in with domestic violence. His mother wrote a whole book in 2011, and she detailed how horrible of a person Dana White is. She made allegations of him beating on women 12 years ago. Wrote a book about it. So why is that not on a 24/7 loop when the Dana White situation is brought up? Why does it seem like every media outlet is covering for Dana White?
Tony, half-second pause. Allegedly.
No, it's no alleged. It was on camera. For legal
Alleged.
purposes, allegedly.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Tony.
For
Thank you,
legal
sir.
purposes, allegedly.
Because 411 go get sued. All right.
Right.
All right, continue.
The opinions expressed by Hot Tub Tony belong to Hot Tub Tony solely alone, and do not
Go
reflect
ahead.
the opinions of Mr. 411 Sports or his affiliates.
That sounded good. I'm gonna have to go ahead and record that one and keep that there for future reference. But go ahead.
But you got to dig a little deeper. You just look at it because Dana White can be fired. Dana White is not the owner of the UFC. That's Ari Emanuel and his sports management agency. So I had to look at it. I said, well, why is he not? Why is he not being brought into it? Why is there not pressure on Ari Emanuel to fire Dana White? Oh, y'all in a contract with ESPN to be the sole exclusive provider for UFC sports. So it's not in your interest to put any kind of spotlight on this situation. Dana White's a terrible person. Dana White has punished his own athletes for similar offenses. So I think the same punishment should be leveled. Matter of fact, it should be worse on him because you know better. But there's not. And this speaks more to the media as it stands for out here right now, sports media in particular. Oh, you're not reporting on sports unless it affects a certain segment of society. But when it affects you, there's an unwillingness to go into detail on that. We saw the same thing with the whole Brett Favre situation.
Oh man, we gotta do that episode too. But go ahead.
Brett Favre stole millions of dollars. That's, in my opinion, that's a bigger headline than Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie. That ran nonstop, 24/7 for what? A month and a half, 2 months? Brett Favre was a one and done. Brett Favre stole some money. Meanwhile, on something else. There's an unwillingness by the media outlets to shine the light when it's white athletes, former or present, or white ownership improprieties. When it's us. When it's us, it's a 24/7 barrage on us. But when you do something that's way worse and deserves that media attention, that 24/7 media attention, it's crickets. And it need to be said. Dana White is horrible. Ari Emanuel, you need to fire him. You're not going to catch Hot Tub on any outlet talking about, I'm very fond of Dana White, like Stephen A. Smith did. No, I'm not fond of any of you. I'm fond of the truth. I'm fond of the side of right and righteousness.
And if that means calling out these big outlets, well, damn it, I do it every chance I get. But it's incumbent upon all, not just this outlet, but all of you smaller outlets, all of you independent YouTubers that have these sports platforms. Y'all need to be posting this 24/7. Give him the same shine that they give our athletes. And I'm gonna let Court jump in on. I'm on my soapbox long enough.
You have that tone. You have that tone. I will say this though. I agree with you. I agree with your sentiment that it does seem like there's some unfair biases when it comes to um, presenting the argument or shining light on stuff. I'm in a bad spot. Light got to change. But
You sound good. You sound good.
okay. But I also understand that it kind of piggies back into because what we on a side note. Do you do know Francis broke ties with the UFC formally last week, right?
Good. Now more organizations do. They need to lose all their sponsorship until they get rid of.
No. Francis, what's his name? The heavyweight champion. He
Francis
walked away.
Niazi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
that,
He broke ties.
yeah, yeah. He's gone. He's gone. But that's the side note because that's actually the big fight was supposed to be him and John. They were setting up for a collision course for him and John Jones. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
I do agree that Ray, like for instance, we tarred and feathered Ray Rice. Actually, in a lot of ways, I'm one of those people. Ray Rice, you got kind of what you got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
that,
not.
Kind
I'm
of.
not even advocating. I'm not advocating not punishing our athletes when they do it. I'm
No,
saying
right.
have the same smoke.
that's right. That's what one of my points I'm always going to stand with. Just because someone else get away with it and you don't get away with it does not mean that you weren't wrong. I'm
No,
a
keep
firm
that
believer.
same energy all the way around, whether it be us
That's what
or
I'm a
them.
firm believer. The problem is we didn't go back and deal with the other person with the same vitriol. That's always been my argument with a lot of that stuff. Um, Dana White, me personally, yes, he's a bad guy. I mean,
Scumbag.
I don't know him person. I don't know him personally, but he's not. He doesn't strike me as a person that I would want to be my buddy or want to be my friend or have drinks with, because it just seems like more than times than not, with his relationship with the athletes of his league, tells me that there's something going on. I give you an example. You compare him to Roger Goodell, right?
Mm-hmm.
All agree that Roger Goodell of the NFL strikes you as a tyrant and the owner's puppet. Understood. You know, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when the players talk about Roger Goodell, they have no more hatred for him than anybody else have with a boss, right? Most of the time, you find that when they have a hatred for Dana or a dislike to Damon White because he's like a bad human. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, he's just generally a bad human being. Yes.
Yeah. So when it came out that he beat it, when it came out that he hit his wife and blah 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 blah, it was like, okay, par for course. Nobody was shocked.
Nobody should be shocked because when his mother wrote a book about it 12 years ago, you
Tom.
shouldn't be shocked.
With what I'm saying is, even if his mother never wrote the book, nobody was shocked that he would behave this way. Correct?
Okay, correct. Yeah, because his personality is of yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, his track record is his track record. I assumed years ago when the Lufas and him got bought out and someone else took over the UFC and made it corporate that his days were limited. But they continue to give him money. I mean, I don't know. And now I think he's investing in the slap league.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be his next move, but he shouldn't even be allowed. He should be barred from any type of ownership.
Can't do that.
Mm,
Can't do that.
you're right. You can't do that, but we can damn sure get him out of the president position in the UFC.
True
Yep.
that.
He's an
Yeah.
But
employee on that aspect.
yes, he is
Yeah.
an employee,
He's
but
not an owner.
it comes down. But what's gonna make him not be, as you say, barred or whatever you want to call it, however way you want to go about it, is the one thing that the power broker is gonna look at. Is he costing money to my bottom line, or is he adding money to my bottom line? As long as it's profitable to protect him, they're gonna keep him.
And this is where we come in at as consumers of the
Exactly.
content of the UFC.
Exactly.
If we come back and say, nah, we don't want a woman be that run this in charge of the league, especially when he's a hypocrite and levies fines and punishments to athletes for doing the same thing.
All right, but here's the problem. You know what the problem is? A good percentage of the UFC are on the red pill shit, grabbing by the pussy, and all the other misogynist ass mindsets that are poison.
Okay, well, my question is, where's the whole Me Too movement that had a lot of vitriol for Bill Cosby? Where y'all at for this? Why
They
ain't
Mm.
no
be wherever they.
outcry
Okay,
from women
here's
groups
here's
on Dana White?
I don't disagree with you. They should,
It's a
and who knows?
lot of it's a lot of hypocritical stuff out here when it comes
I
to.
don't disagree with you. However, but I will say this: I understand what you're saying, and I don't know where they at, and I have here. Now I won't say it's not been at the level of certain other times when the stuff goes on, but have heard that side of. There have been people that's asking for his head. That's on that side of
Can
the
I throw
argument.
something out there to you about the
Mhm.
Times Up Me Too movement? One of their biggest supporters is Ari Emanuel,
Okay,
the owner of the UFC.
okay, but on the same token,
So you see where I'm
oh,
going with this?
yeah, I see what you're
You don't
saying,
hear you
but on the
don't have
same token,
ESPN. Hold on, you don't have an ESPN speaking up because they bought and paid for. They have a vested interest in this story going
I
away. You
hear
don't have
everything
Times
you're
Up
saying.
speaking on it because they're bought and paid for. They have a
I
vested
give you,
interest in this story going away.
but what I'm going to tell you is, all right. If you look at the Me Too movement and you look at the UFC base, meaning who's a base consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your base consumer is way over here to the grabbing by the pussy group, and that grabbing by the pussy is a whole bunch more. When I say that, I'm it's not a base. It's a whole mindset of Neanderthal misogynist bullshit. But
Hey
we're gonna
man,
leave it.
I don't. You know that may be their base and that may be their movement. I'm just saying, when it comes to me and my people, I want you to keep that same energy
I hear you
or lack
totally. I
thereof.
agree. I
That
think
lack
he
of
should be
energy
gone.
that you're showing towards Dana White. Make sure we get the same treatment.
I think he should. I think he totally would be done. But I think he should be gone. However, I'll be honest with you. There is, as long as he's profitable, he ain't gonna be gone.
Okay, and I'm gonna keep pointing out the hypocrisy every chance I get because
Well,
until we get some semblance of equality, especially in how the media treats stories. I'm gonna
I'm
keep
gonna.
putting my foot
I'm
underneath.
gonna. I'll,
I'm gonna keep
yes.
going into detail, and I'm gonna keep giving you facts when I talk about Brett Favre
Okay. Okay. But
stealing
I'm
$2
also giving.
million from the state of Mississippi's
All right.
welfare fund.
Hold on. I'm also
I'm not gonna let these
Tony.
stories die.
Tony. I'm also gonna give you this. Going back to Kyrie. When everything went down, and yes, they cowtied him in a lot of other ways, and I do believe a lot of the way they handled that was incorrect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give you this. Tyrone, you're the basketball guy. What has
Yeah.
Kyrie been doing as of late?
Playing
Oh, say it one more
basketball.
time for me. Say it
What
one
is
more time
Kyrie?
for me.
What kind of season is Kyrie having right now in the NBA?
A damn good one.
Best he's had in years, right?
Yeah. He's killing it. He
Okay,
had 48 the other night.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before the comments and all the other stuff, he got suspended. You tell me? You're a basketball insider. Was it not a known thing that he needs to go, and and the Nets were thinking about trying to put him on the trade block or try to get rid
Right.
of that contract, right?
Right. Get him out the
Okay,
team. He's not
okay.
used to the team. Yeah.
All right. Now that they're balling now, right?
Yes, sir.
And he's one of the main reasons, right?
Exactly.
Do you hear as much about the incident other than what was already out there?
Oh, it's been quiet now.
Oh,
I'd attribute that less to his balling skills. I'm not saying that's not a factor, but I attribute that less to that, and I would attribute it more to we as black people said, no, you're not going to vilify him.
no, I'm not.
Yes,
No,
yes, yes, sir.
not at
Because
all.
it makes a big
Not at
statement
all.
when you have
Because guess
200
what?
individuals
Guess no, no,
parked
no, no, no,
outside
no,
the
no, no,
arena.
no. Because guess what? And guess what? Let me let you in on something. If they were if he was still on their bad side, there's nothing. If he was not, because what I'm getting at is, if he was still considered not profitable to them, it was nothing y'all could do about it. They were gonna put his narrative out there, and they were gonna make sure that when they got rid of his ass, that they could paint him in the worst light they could.
That's what they were trying to do. The only thing that stopped it was the backlash from the black community. That's what
No, no,
stopped it.
no,
Yes, yes,
no, no,
yes. Yes,
no,
yes,
no,
yes.
no, no.
Because if we would have turned
No,
our
no, no,
back and
no.
said, yes,
Because
yes, we
guess
said
what?
that,
Because guess
he
what?
would have
In that
been gone.
hold on, Tony.
Because
In that
they
argument, no,
marched out an army of black pundits to vilify that man. But the greater black society said, no, we're not going to throw him
no.
out. We're not going to
No,
allow you
no.
to vilify him.
Actually, Tony, I told you this before. You tend to speak from inside of an echo chamber of of your people that you tend to agree with. Because you as me, I don't associate with people that I don't regularly associate with people that's gonna piss me off. You follow me?
Oh, I regularly associate with people that piss me off.
No, no. When I say that, meaning to the point where I have to put my hands on someone. I don't. See what I'm saying? But what you and Jeff is going to be a little bit different. But I can tell you that the narrative of Kyrie, and as much as you like to believe that the majority of black people were behind Kyrie, it wasn't really as much of a majority.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah. But
I don't believe that.
we
I don't believe that at all.
But
yeah,
what died
we'll
down
probably
the argument?
we'll dive more into Kyrie on our next one,
Well,
and
what we'll
also
do,
Brett Favre.
what, we- what we'll do is we'll dive in to the narrative of what our athletes are seen as versus um, the counter argument of what the truth about our images and why our negative images are number one versus actual a true conversation of that we're not a monopoly, that we are a diverse group of people.
Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, let's we're gonna put a bow on everything today. Uh, let's go back and just run through the comments that D had out here, so that he can look at that later when he's free. But he had the comments earlier about the Ed Reed situation and some of the things there. So I'm gonna throw the comments up that he had, and then you gentlemen can respond. So let's do that right quick. All right, here we
I
go.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I think we kind of touched on that.
Yeah, we
It's
covered
gonna be
number one.
yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Yep.
I don't think that's feasible, but I'm not opposed to it.
It's close. The rookie minimum it's going to eventually happen. That it's going to be that. I can't
Yeah,
remember what the
I'm
numbers
with
are
that
now.
100%.
All right,
Um,
good deal. All right, here we go. He named a couple of great and wealthy players, by the way. But yeah, he said that these are the kind of guys that should fund the colleges, the HBCUs.
I don't think they should totally fund because there was there like you had posted up earlier the what was it, the 1865
Oh, with the Bears.
no, the actual law that covers the fundings of HBCUs. I think that should stay in place. It would be great if those athletes did contribute, and I think they should contribute. Ed Reed had them lined up to contribute. I hope they still go through with the contributions.
Yeah.
all right.
But
Pause. 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 Pause that right quick. Let me get this out there for him. The rookie minimum right now is $705,000, which increases by 45,000 every year, which culminates to in the year 2030 that they'll be making $1 million. So that's the bare minimum of the rookie salary,
Why
right?
not it being a starting point instead of waiting till 2030?
You can argue with it because that's what they negotiated, Tony. I don't know
That was
why.
a
They just
horrible negotiation.
at the time, Tony, they were
That was a
negotiating
terrible
from.
negotiation at the
Okay,
time too.
at the time, they were negotiating from like $200,000.
Still horrible negotiation.
Yeah, we that hindsight thing is a hell of a thing, brother.
It's a motherfucker, ain't it?
All right.
No,
So
I'm sorry. I get
And
no,
people
you
and
y'all get
good.
people
loose.
and people understand that me and Tony can do this 24/7 and still laugh and giggle and hang out together because that's my brother. So
Yeah,
don't
that's my
think that
brother right there.
don't think we finna meet in some dark alley and go at it. We
Nah.
good.
Well,
All right.
Corey, what you just brought up is how we're going to sum things up for today. Again, you see how we all have our views. We have views that we agree that we come from the beginning and agree on, and we have views that hey we need to share it and see where everybody understands it. But at the end of the day, we're sitting here having these conversations, and that's what we should be able to do. You know what I mean? We may not agree with everything, but that's okay. We should be able to have a conversation about it. We shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be able to name or try to shame somebody in the process of doing it because you don't agree with somebody. You know, we all grown here, and that's how we should be able to handle our business. So, with that said, man, I appreciate you guys being on, and we're gonna do it again
No
Yes,
problem.
sir. We're gonna
and
try to
again.
make it make sense for you people.
Make it make
That's right.
sense.
Make it make sense because there's a lot of things that we got to make sense out here. All right. Well, for Hot Tub and for Coy, I'm 411. Man, we appreciate everybody. Hit that notification button. Hit that subscribe, like, and share to everybody. We appreciate you. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.